I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address, and now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. They're fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
You have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay, so, hey guys. So, you know, we were just on the other channel, some of us on the Just Ask Lewis and Sunny one. And I really wanted to do a live tonight. So Adam and Lewis will both be joining tonight as well. But I'm just going to get it started. Hey, Grizz, how are you? Hey, guys. Here's Ray. See, same people from the last live. I know that there was a lot going on today with the Idaho case. And, you know, and don't get us wrong, because it's not like we're forgetting about Delphi or have moved on from Delphi. But there's not really a lot going on in Delphi. And we just have a hard time, you know, doing lives just to do a live because it's Delphi. Of course, we never mind talking about Delphi case whatsoever. So if anyone, you know, still does want to bring up something from Delphi, feel free, of course. But you know, there's obviously a lot going on and there's other cases out there. So as Delphi is kind of a little quiet, you know, would rather put the energy in a sense towards some of these other cases that are going on, including the Idaho case. It's something, thank you, JD. It's just when I do it straight, I literally just blow dry it straight. It's the fastest way to do my hair, to be honest with you. Oh no, or throw it up sometimes. But hey, Daisy. So anyways, so like I said, there's a few things that we want to go over with obviously the Idaho case. And I think I'm going to start off. I think I'm going to start off with just showing you that I seen something on Twitter mostly. I don't know that I've necessarily seen other channels doing it. But there's a couple things that I do want to talk about while I'm waiting for the other two to arrive. And I'll just share the screen. Give me 1 sec here. Present, share screen. We'll go to this right here. Okay, so this is something that was going around. I put these pictures together myself just because I was just doing this last night. And I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts were. So the bottom line is that, you know how there was the memorial, you know, for the girls and that on the 30th, I believe it was, and of November. And so thanks, yummy. Thanks, Daisy. Thanks. Hello, Delphi Prime Time. And again, thanks everyone for joining us in chat right now. And so, and Happy New Year to everyone, as it's January 3rd, and my son's birthday. He'll be turning 26 tomorrow. And as well as my son's birthday, Alexa, who is profiler, handwriting expert, it's her birthday tomorrow as well. So please wish everyone for Alexa that's in chat, wish her a happy birthday, of course. And of course, she'll be 29 and holding, like we all are, once we pass a certain age. Hard to say, too blurry for me to tell. Well, that's just it. You know what? It's just one of those things. When you look at Bryan here, okay? If there's one thing you do notice, at least to me, is he has ears that are lower than most. You know, like some people have, some people have high ears. You know, if we all look at our ears in a sense. So, you know, if I look at mine, they're pretty normal, but they're a above kind of like where my eye is there. But his are on the low side. So I guess my thing is this. It's one of those things. I'm just going to show you it and somebody can decide. But just to ask you guys in chat yourself, what do you think with Bryan? Do you think he attended that memorial? Because you know how usually, people that have done, whether it's even Delphi or not, whether or not that they come back to appreciate, in a sense, their work, or, to see what's going on. So for the fact that he was literally over in Pullman, like, minutes away, really, like 7 to 10 minutes away. And he legitimately had this Elantra vehicle, even though it was a 2015. Pretty sure that's probably when he got told on. But they probably didn't have the DNA. Like they didn't have all their ducks in a row. But I'm sure that somebody would have turned in his vehicle, obviously. Would make sense, especially since he's right over there. That's nice of you guys to do that. Yeah, that's so pretty, Lisa. Yeah, happy birthday to Alexa, 8 to 9 and 10. It's only 11:04 there now. And I kind of think the same thing, FP. I don't think that he could probably help himself. That honestly, he seems like someone to me that would literally, if he's literally like 7 to 10 minutes away, I don't think he could help himself either. I wouldn't doubt, even if this person beside isn't him. Hey, Adam, even if this person beside isn't him,
Hey.
I was just kind of looking at the low ears. I was kind of like looking at the hair, and that's why I kind of had the two hairs. Okay. So, Adam, what we're talking about is like, I'm not sure if somebody else had it in a video. I happened to see this on Twitter last night.
Yeah. Well, you and I talked about it already.
This right here, did we?
Yeah, this morning. Yeah, because we both agreed the hairline. I think we did.
I don't think we did actually. I think that was maybe you and CD were talking about it or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think
maybe it was an 8. Sometimes you and I have these like conversations while I'm asleep that
I think so.
You might not be aware of.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Usually they're like, Adam, you're so great. Adam, you're okay.
Sometimes me and Adam actually don't have to talk. We just know as well.
Right. It was the hairline that kind of, because I was going to do a whole video on it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm like, yeah, that's not. I don't think that's his hairline.
Well, it's one of those things. I had to flip the image on the. I think it was this one. Oh no, maybe it was the other one. No, it would have been this one. I had to flip the image. So that side is really his other side.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that the hairline's going to look different, but his hairline does kind of look more similar if I pull up, say, this picture here. But it might not be, and that's fine. But the real question becomes
the nose is what I was like. I was like, oh, maybe that nose definitely.
Well, I was kind of looking at like this one right here. Kind of like look at that profile right here.
Right.
Like, it really is very similar. He does have low ears, but do you think that he could honestly resist from not going to it? I mean, he was pretty brazen in the first place, from what it seems like. I don't know. Because go ahead.
I don't know if he went to the vigil. But I believe 100% that he has been all over every detail of this. I think he's been following every bit of this investigation.
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
And I think as it's gone on, I think it actually gave him a little bit of extra confidence. I think he probably had a little bit of paranoia because of the car thing. Yeah. But I think overall he still thought he was smarter than everyone else. Still does. And I think that he could turn on any news or media or anything, and he sees where the public was drawing their attention to, and it was nowhere near someone like him. Well, some people were, but I mean, people were being so speculative over the jacks and all of the other stuff. And I think he actually helped kind of push some of that in social media with the fraternity and stuff. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, I'll get to that part later, because if there's one thing that does, stick out is the fact of that, like, if his teacher, that teacher that he was studying under, Christine Ramsland,
Yeah.
if he was studying underneath her, and Ted Bundy had literally gone in and attacked 4, and 2 of them were killed in that sorority where he attacked 4, it really did make me pause for thought. And because of the teacher, if he was trying to commit the same type of crime that Bundy did, because of that is very similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think even more so. I think he probably like a combo of of serial killers he probably idolized, but still probably thought he could outdo and be smarter than them. And because I mean, I think I definitely see some stuff with I think he probably likes BTK, Gary Ridgewood.
Even
if you look at some of the date stuff, like I wasn't really into the whole numerology thing and the dates being that significant.
Yeah.
But the more I look at it, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there.
The question in my head would be, if Kaylee was away and had only come back, was he following her? Like, did she say on social media that she was going to be there, and that's how he knew? Because do you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't a planned thing, and it was planned in a short period of time, like let's say maybe the week or two, whatever before. So,
because her family says that she did that kind of spur of the moment, because there was a party on Friday night she wanted to go to at a sorority that her and Madison went to, and that she wanted to show Maddie her new car that she was just gotten that day. She was so excited. Friday.
Yeah.
And so that's actually one of the reasons I never put significance into the dates being significant to the killer, because I just took it as simply this being his last chance, because he also knew she probably was leaving.
Right.
He hadn't been there in a week and a half.
Whoops. Yeah. So, so I'm just a little, perplexed a little bit about that part. Because it's kind of like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, was it just a target because he was trying to target the sorority, but then again, like if I believe what you said and what others have said, but is it confirmed, like confirmed that he was truly following them on Instagram?
I think absolutely. I mean, and we know. I mean, I've also I've heard that his phone was oftentimes in the weeks leading up to in the same place as some of the victims. So I think he was watching them and probably online and in person.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they have and I'm sure they have all of that.
Oh, of course they do.
Right. They interesting to see when they connect. I mean, I don't know how significant or how much it matters what the connection Kaylee's family has made.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to find out what it is.
Correct. And that kind of brings us to the gag order. So
yes, I don't know about the gag order. I tried to catch a few minutes of the thing today, and I was on a thing with CD, and then I literally went right back to work. So people have sent me pictures.
You know what? Honestly, because we were on the Just Ask Lewis and Sunny channel doing the live there, I literally myself haven't had time to even do this. So I would be reading it just like as if anyone else hadn't read it either. I just know that Callie had sent me about the gag order, which is, and now the judge has ordered officials to stop talking about it. And then it basically goes on to say that the order prohibits any communication by investigators, law enforcement personnel, attorneys, agents, and prosecuting attorney or defense attorney concerning this case. A copy of the order can be found on our website, which I went and grabbed. Due to this court order, the Moscow Police Department will no longer be communicating with the public or the media regarding this case. And then, so, Lewis, did you have time to read this at all yet or no?
No, I tried to read it, but I couldn't make too much out because of the small print.
Yeah.
and I don't have my tablet here, so.
And this is Latah. This is Latah County in Idaho.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
And it does not include the families.
Sorry. Yeah, Latah. It didn't say. It didn't say families.
Right. That's what I was listening for, and I didn't hear it. So.
But you know what? Let's all read it. We'll just all read it together. And I kind of think so too, a little bit, Daisy, about the restaurant thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely could be. I mean, that's why I don't think it matters that much really where the connection came from, because I think wherever the connection came from, he got fixated on probably her most likely. But I mean, to me, if it had just been the sorority thing, I mean, he left 2 sorority girls on the first floor.
Yeah.
Alive and breathing.
No, I'll read the first page. You read the second. I'll read the third. You read the fourth. Fair enough. Or do you, or you don't have it up, or do you have it up?
I don't have it on my. I'm sure I have it. I just don't have it.
I can send it to you. I can send it to you real quick. Absolutely. I'll just do that. Just because I have them all right here anyway.
I also haven't seen the footage yet from him being pulled over.
No, I have some
screenshots
of that as well.
Because I've heard there's a big cut on his hand in it.
And then I'll just send you the 2 things that were sent.
Cool.
But there's 4 pages total, Adam.
Okay.
Okay. So again, thanks everyone that's coming in watching. Again, is that the Johnny Depp panel? Yes. Oh, you know what? I got to talk about the umbrella guy really quick as well. Actually, I might even just show it. So I don't know if you guys know who the umbrella guy is. Okay. Yeah. So umbrella guy. Okay. I'll just quickly talk about it now. So the umbrella guy, he covers the Johnny Depp, especially the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, as well as other things. But so
he ended up being a witness. Pardon? Didn't he end up being a witness?
No, not that I recall. They talked about him.
Okay.
But I don't recall him actually.
Oh, that's right. No, they quoted him on. That's right.
Basically for Amber Heard, they were trying to say that he was like, you know what I mean, trying to make it seem like he was this person that was creating a lot of this bad attention and stuff like that towards Amber Heard. We like to call her Amber Turd, to be honest with you. So I just happened to be lying in bed and I caught part of his live, and I used to watch him a lot more, but because doing the own lives, this is before I was doing so many lives and stuff like that. But anyway, so he says on his live, like he has to call out someone. He just can't help it. And he started talking about the Idaho case. Now, so he was. So anyway, he called out Joe Morris.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the other one.
No, sorry, Joseph Morris. No, Joseph Morris. And okay, umbrella guy. Hold on, let me just pull him up here.
He's big on Twitter, right?
Yeah, he's big on Twitter. The umbrella guy. Oops. There we go. Let me just see if I can. There he is. If anyone doesn't know, you guys should go subscribe to him. Right. It's actually a good show to watch and whatever. And let me just go to his live. And what was kind of funny?
He probably knows where Johnny Depp is at all moments of every day.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Where's someone that he did? No. Where's someone that he just did? I'm on the umbrella guy. Home. Videos. That's so weird. Why don't I see it? Maybe he takes it down because if it's yellow, then he enlists it and then he'll put it back up or something. Because he was literally showing. I don't see it, and I'm not gonna. Right. Let's see. Let me just go to my videos for a second, see if I still see the thing for it, because he was saying the same thing. That how YouTube was whatever, like he had five videos in yellow waiting in the unlisted, right? He's like,
and you don't make any revenue off them anyway if they're unlisted.
No, because you have to wait until they decide what color they'll be. But that can take anywhere from like 1 to 5 days. which
Mhm.
is, pretty hard especially when you're in true crime. And,
Right.
no, he took it down, it looks like.
Okay.
So it probably went yellow, and he's probably got it as unlisted right now, and then he'll revive it or something. So, anyways, my joy was that he called out Joseph Morris, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, dude! Another person." So, if anyone doesn't know who Joseph
Right.
Morris is, and
He might have
everyone
moved
probably,
it to. He might have moved it over to his Patreon or something.
yeah, well, and everyone should by now. Let me just stop screen and present. Joseph Morris is the person, this dude right here, that faked the scream.
Mhm.
Okay, he's the one that not just say he faked it. He took a situation. I think it was from
Mhm.
Reddit, like some sort of, perhaps some sort of personal argument, and he used the scream to make it seem like it was the neighbor that heard this scream. And then he manipulated the Daily Mail article and literally changed the HTML in it to make it seem like this. Now, again, he has done this many times,
Right.
but this time I think it came to bite him in the butt.
Right.
And so what happened is that if you see it says like 6 years ago, 7 months ago. So there must have been something that happened, whether he has been banned, because you see where it says live here on his thing. Oops, sorry.
Yes.
You see where it says live? That
Right.
only came back up recently.
Right.
There,
Well, he probably got a 2-week ban. Like
I
after
think it
it came
was
back up.
longer. I think it
Okay.
was longer. And I
Mhm.
mean, he should be absolutely ashamed of himself for using to
Someone
ever
else's trauma.
exactly to ever think that someone would try to use and manipulate people that are his subscribers to use the Idaho case or any other case like the Gabby Petito and try to manipulate people into believing something
Yeah.
that's not true, and it's because he made it up so that he could gain off of these
Yeah.
deaths,
And he did the same thing with Gabby Petito. Like he's
Yeah.
the one that made that fake video where it made it look like Brian Laundrie was in the little rowboat for like 2 seconds on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. Right. Exactly. And so he's done this multiple times and kind of gotten away with it from people
Mm-hmm.
until this time. And so I'm not sure if he had like a 2-week ban, 4-week ban, something that happened. Either way,
Right.
his lives only came up yesterday. So I'm not really sure if he's allowed to create videos now or not. But I'm just going to do I'm so glad that Umbrella Guy called him out on his channel
Mm-hmm.
because he has over 400K followers
Good.
on his channel. And that's what I'm talking about. It's one thing to speculate and theorize and do things and just do things as a normal human being. You're not trying to deceive anyone, hurt anyone, manipulate someone, for your own gravy train. And that's what's happening here.
Oh.
Why
I
200? Go ahead.
I was like, I can't understand that. I'm like,
No.
I just I feel like your intention to get into this in the beginning would have to be somewhat good.
Yeah.
To then just turn around and lose all your moral, like just to throw it all by the wayside for what?
Yeah.
Just to have your channel taken down and
Right.
end up with nothing anyway.
Right. So why would you risk that? Why would you even risk that?
I'd rather have my integrity.
Oh, absolutely. Right. It's all that, and that's just the thing. To even put it in your brain that you want to create this fictitious thing. And CJK, we're talking about Joseph Morris for a second. He's a YouTuber that follows different cases and does different ones. In particular, he put out a video there, as if Brian Laundrie from the Gabby Petito case, that he was on some sort of boat in the ocean. And then, of course, somebody finds the exact video that he took that from, yet it was from something else. And then he created it to make it seem like this, all for the sake of greed, money, subscribers. And that's just ego. That's just narcissistic, egotistical.
It's misguided ego.
Yeah, right. A misguided ego, self-serving rights. It's I can handle most things, but when you literally take the murders of these people and use it as your gravy train, when you already have, he had 248 subscribers. He's at 243.
Right.
Okay. He hasn't dropped any in a couple of weeks now. He's basically stayed. Well, he may have dropped some, but.
I say, and wasn't his channel kind of like missing for a while? So no one probably could even go in and unsubscribe while it was missing for a minute.
Yeah, his channel went missing for a day. YouTube, I wouldn't doubt, took it down, and because I'm sure what happened is this, or I'm just gonna hypothesize here, but
and they probably had to do a review of it.
Yes, I think because this happened to Judy Wrong. No, this happened to Chris McDonough from the interview room as well, where basically it's like a flood of attacks coming at your channel, and then YouTube goes, wait, what's going on here?
Right.
And then they look into it. So
right. And if you repeatedly violate their terms and policies, I mean, there's a much smaller channel that's done that repeatedly that, got his channel taken and then just basically claims that YouTube unsubscribed all of his people. But I'm like, no, you're lying. Your channel got taken down because you kept saying horrible things about people.
Yeah. I mean, Ixmel called him out. He ended up taking his video down. And Ixmel called him out on it. And good for him. Because again, it's so disgusting that you had to make people aware of it. Because that type of action or that type of, to do that type of, inhumane indecency to these families for a self-serving purpose is so despicable that you just couldn't help but call it out.
And it added not one thing beneficial. Even if say he had found an actual audio of that, it wouldn't have provided one lead or case. It wouldn't have done anything beneficial for this.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what his end goal was, other than just self-serving.
Yeah. Oh, why is it that I have a hard time finding these things? No, that's not that far ago. But
he has that's like how many Jonathan reached it today, I think.
No, it was alive because he did, but maybe it was alive. There it is, right here.
And so I'm going to add.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so basically, Ixmel called him out, played the voice clip, and he literally.
You want to make sure you watch this entire video because
So if anyone wants to watch that, I'll put that in the link of the.
Because it is from an actual domestic. It is from a DV, but someone else is going through that trauma and experiencing that, and then not only do these families have to hear it, but that person then has to hear their personal DV situation on a national platform.
Yeah, I did put it in the description of this live so that when it ends, anything that I'm showing today is going to be in the description of this video. Hi, Natalie. So anyways, that's for Ixmel's if somebody wants to actually go watch that again. And when he did come back on, like a few days later, when he was called out, when he actually did come back on, he literally, when someone's guilty and yet they know they're guilty and they have a hard time like legitly saying it or whatever.
Oh, did he play the victim?
Yeah, so he was like, maybe I should check my sources better next time.
Oh, wow. Who does that sound like? Used to blame all of the people that would do all the work for him anytime something goes away.
But dude, your sources was yourself. You literally created a false audio. You grabbed it from somewhere else. Thank God for the internet sleuths out there that call people like that out and stuff like that. And then again, for the fact that he literally took the Daily Mail and changed the HTML on it so that it.
Right. Not that they need help. Not that they need help getting information wrong.
How do you not think it's going to get?
They're batting 1,000. I mean, I think we can all say daily fail now, like they say in the UK.
Yeah. But anyways, so I just want to thank Umbrella Guy. I actually put a super chat up there because I was like, because he was talking about it, and he's like, "It's a criming shame." Oh, I like that name. Thanks, Umbrella dude.
You should tell Johnny about it.
Right.
We'll send him a T-shirt.
Right. Exactly. I love the fact because he's pro like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Amber Heard isn't like a narcissistic beyond belief, She's just like my older sister,
Yeah.
Paula. Merry Christmas, Paula.
Perfect
Happy
example, though. What goes around comes around, and all of these people like that,
Unethical. That's what it is.
you can't sustain that.
You can't, right? Exactly. And this is exactly what, when you are genuine and honest and truthful, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. You just don't, But honestly, the embarrassment,
right?
People
that go on YouTube and they have like criminal records. Not that I'm saying makes you a bad person, but then think they can hide it. Like you're putting yourself into a public platform, and then you think that you can hide something in the in the avenue of things that people look at that want to watch your channel.
You don't mess with dead people and their family for greed. You don't ever do something like that. Karma's going to come at you. You just don't do
children.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't mess with children. You don't mess with children's cancer charities either. You're a bad person then.
Yeah, don't mess with Sunny Justice either. Right?
That's right.
Right. Sunny is there we go. But no, I'm sorry, but I'm all about letting channels be channels until something.
Who has the energy for all that anyway?
Pardon?
I've always thought this about people that lie. Who has the energy to try to remember it all?
I know. And it's not even
that sounds exhausting. It's like people that have affairs. I'm like, I couldn't remember all that.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. So anyways, if anyone is subscribed, please go unsubscribe to Joseph Morris. Honestly, nobody needs deceptive people like that in their lives that are trying to manipulate you. That's all they're trying to do is to gain profit, or they manipulate other people. There's nothing good about that person whatsoever. Or at least they need a good spank and sent to the corner for a good time out for a while, till they learn their lesson to grow up.
You want to be able to trust the content you're watching, or I mean, because even if something like if I'm not sure about something, I'll say I'm speculating on it. I'll just pose a question.
There's a difference between talking about something and literally manipulating people. Huge difference. Okay, but let's get on with Idaho, guys.
Yes.
Do you have it up now, Adam?
You did not send it to me yet.
Oh yeah, I sent it. Did you not get it?
Messenger?
Yeah, I Messenger.
And last message to you says me saying, "See you in a minute."
Hey, who did I send it to then? What the heck? Did it not go through? Oh, Adam, it's still sitting in my thing to be sent. Oh, my bad. I've done that before. Where you think you've hit send?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so let's take a look, and you listen up closely, Lewis, so you can explain it better. Okay, so let's just see here on the top.
So they issued this before he even got to Idaho, right?
Sorry.
So they must have issued this literally before he even arrived. Is he in Idaho now?
He's probably back in Idaho. Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they did that immediately today, or if they were, or what the plan was after.
Well, this was January 2nd when this was ordered.
Okay.
Okay, so it was ordered yesterday, and then I guess it came out today or something.
Right. So that way they'd be ready when he does get on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So it says this order governs courthouse and courtroom conduct and media activities and may be amended from time to time. The court is mindful of the need to balance the constitutional right of the defendant to a fair hearing, the public's right to information in conjunction with the It's because it's blurry a little bit to me, guys. Let me see if maybe it gets better if I.
That Captain Morgan.
Right, I haven't had any, but I should.
I'm just kidding.
I know I should. With the constitutional and statutory rights of the media to attend the proceedings, the court's interest in maintaining order and the environment that permits all participants to focus on their responsibilities without undue distractions, and 4, the court's interest in the safety of the public and court personnel, and need to follow all Idaho Supreme Court orders as may be changed or amended from time to time. With these factors in mind, pursuant to Idaho Court Administratives, and I'm not going to sit there and read out each number. And then it says, let's see, court seating and attendance has been ordered. Let's see, seating for victims' families, counsels, defendant, family, and court personnel. Certain seating may be reserved. Okay, blah, blah, blah. B, pooled media seating. So honestly, the representatives of the media serving as a pool camera staff shall be seated in the area approved by the court. So there was no camera, no tweeting that was allowed.
Right.
So I'll just bring up, honestly, that's just blah, blah, blah type of stuff. So I'll bring up the second page here.
And this is the one that's not the one with the signatures on it, right? Okay, it starts with general public. Okay, I'll read that.
Yeah.
And why you bring that up, just to let you know, because you were asking, they announced today that he'd be brought back within 10 days, but they're not going to let anyone know how or when.
Okay.
So as of today, he was not extradited yet, but he waived extradition, and it'll be within 10 days that he'll be back in Idaho.
Okay. They should replicate the Oregon Trail and take him that way. See if he gets dysentery. Okay, so I'm going to start with it's letter C, correct? General public and additional media seating. The public and members of the media not designated as a pooled camera staff may be permitted in the courtroom as space permits on a first-come, first-basis. No persons may receive reserved seats. No standing in the courtroom will be allowed. Seating in front of the bar. No person other than the court personnel designated by the court, the defendant, and the counsel, their assistants, shall be permitted to sit in front of the bar of the courtroom without specific authorization of the court. Entry and exit during court proceedings. Spectators, including members of the media and the public, shall be seated before court is in session during any portion of the hearing. No entry or re-entry in the courtroom will be permitted while court is in session. General restrictions and requirements. Security screenings. All persons entering the courtrooms are subject to security screenings. No food, beverage, firearms, or other weapons are permitted in the courthouse. All handbags, backpacks, purses, or other personal property are subject to inspection. Cell phones. Cell phones are permitted but must be turned off and shall not be used for recording or the transmission of sounds or images. Violation of this rule may result in the confiscation of the phone. So far, this is all pretty much standard stuff.
I was going to say.
Other electronic devices, these are just kind of court rules. Disruptive, I'm going to skim over. They shall not record or transmit sounds or images in or from the courtroom. It's also why they don't want people leaving the courtroom, because they don't want reporters running out to report stuff and then coming back in. Violation of this rule may result in confiscation of the device. Disruptive behavior, any activity or behavior which is considered disruptive by the court will result in removal from the courtroom. Any spectator who creates a visual or auditory disturbance of the court proceedings may be removed from the courthouse or courtroom and or the building at any time at the discretion of court security personnel. C-word precautions. On the date of any hearing in the above captioned matter, if there are any orders in effect from either the Idaho Supreme Court or the Second Judicial District Administrative District Judge, and then where's the next page?
Sorry, my bad.
And then I'll finish that paragraph really quick. Is that then regarding C word safety protocol, all persons attending any hearing shall be required to comply with those orders. Information about those orders on the date of any hearing may be obtained from the contacts set forth in paragraph 3F below.
Okay. So media coverage. If the court allows cameras in the courtroom and orders that the media coverage be pooled, then all media have access to share video, audio, and still photographs received from permitted cameras. Members of the media shall designate and agree on the operator of the camera permitted. But that's just a standard rule, because I don't think that's allowed. Courthouse.
Who just says it won't be a commercial flight? No flight never needed.
Yeah.
They should put him on like a livestock plane.
Photograph video is not permitted during recess. To be honest,
I bet this is like standard Idaho State stuff.
I was gonna say, like, I don't want to keep reading this because it's just really.
If you want a little information, I can jump in here with what you asked me about earlier. I was able to
sure.
Some. They actually said that they are going to unseal the probable cause affidavit once he is returned to Idaho and he's served with the papers.
That's Idaho state law, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they specifically said in this case what they're going to do, because even though they have it set up that way, they said they will release this to the media and the public. We were asking in the beginning if they were not going to do that because they might have kept it sealed because of the order that they put in place. But in that release, they actually specifically say that they will unseal it.
Okay, because I mean, I did hear that that once he returned to Idaho,
I know they couldn't do it before he was literally there.
Well, they've not been able to charge him yet because they're not doing extradition. He waived extradition. So he's going to be transported back. And then once he gets to Idaho, they're going to serve him with the 4 counts of murder and the 1 count of burglary. But they specifically are saying that they will unseal the documents once he gets there. So it will probably not be part of that gag order.
Right.
Okay. Let me just quickly show this for... I'm just going to show something for a second, just so that you guys can see that didn't see, and it's just very in and out. I'll show 2 clips.
The suspected quadruple killer in the Idaho University killings didn't say anything as he headed in and out of court today. Bryan Kohberger waived extradition, will go back to Idaho in the next 10 days. He's a criminology student who studied serial killers.
Did it stop?
You're muted, Sonny.
Oh, my bad. So sorry. No, I'd only recorded just that much because my intent was I was going to put out a video before our live on Just Ask. And then I was getting messages and different things. So I ended up I was just recording that for the people that didn't see it. But I'll show you the other one quickly. Whoops, cancel. I'll just show you the other one. I keep hitting present share, but I mean to hit video. Okay, so there's no sound to this.
Yeah.
Well, not really. Anyway. Are you talking about when they got pulled over?
No. Like it was like when they were out, they were in the hall, like the teams he was filming out in the hall, like while they were waiting, and they were just like shooting, talking with the cops that were out there.
Okay.
So they were all buddy.
Yeah. So that was just it for okay, that was just it for that. I just wanted to show anyone that hadn't seen it, because again, there was no cameras, no tweeting in the courtroom. I know that there's been like a lot of different channels and that, talking about it. Yes, Alexa, I think had said, I feel like Alexa too. I feel like he was a wannabe.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he would harm. I don't think he'll harm himself. I don't see that at all with him.
You don't think he was a wannabe serial killer?
No, I don't. I said I don't. Alexa was agreeing with someone else with Music Source that had said I think he's too much of a narcissist. I don't think that he's going to harm himself. I think he's going to play every game in the world he can to, in his mind, maintain a level of what he thinks is control.
Right.
And mess with people.
And thank you, Jamie Knapp, for subscribing. And if you guys could please hit a like that's in here, please. Really need help with the algorithm. Again, it just YouTube, it's just hard.
It's so weird.
YouTube, it's just weird. So you guys could just hit that like for sure. Share the video. Adam dropped away.
Uh oh.
Where Adam? Where you go? But anyways,
was he having trouble with power?
I don't know.
I know we had some storms that came through a few hours ago, so if the storms hit us earlier today, they might be down by him now. I don't know.
Oh, there he comes back.
I'm sorry.
Is it your? Did you not? Is it your thing that's giving you troubles again?
No, it was the. I went to hit the live thing, but I hit it off of here.
Actually, there was another site that I want to show you guys. I'm just gonna go into my thing for a second, into my library. I watched it last night myself. Let me just go quickly find.
What is his height? What is his exact height? So I mean, I knew I was 6'5", or was he just 6 foot?
6 foot tall, 185 pounds.
Right.
Correct.
It was interesting to talk to one of his high school friends earlier today. That it was just to hear, he self-admittedly said he hadn't talked to him in 10 years, but
right.
but it was interesting to hear that, perspective from someone that knew him before.
Long crime. Where are you? I think it's, where are you, dude? Adam put out a few shorts, by the way, as well.
One real, and then one like 3-minute video.
Yeah. Okay, where are you, dude? I know you're here. You know when you're going to go look for something, and I'll find you. I'm gonna find you. I think you're off. But see, that's silly. I was just literally watching him. Please off.
Should it just be in your history?
That's what I'm in.
Okay.
And that's, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Stop screen. I just wanted to show you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't watched this guy here, his name is Dr. Todd Grand. Very interesting. Listen to. It's 13 minutes, and
his voice is a little dry, just for everyone that wants to.
You know what?
His information is good.
Yeah, and I'm going to put that too in our lives in the edit. I'm going to put that in the description of this video as well for Dr. Todd, because it's really a good listen to as he talks about it. And yeah, so right, exactly. Just kind of like, typical kind of, straight-laced doctor type of talking, but very interesting. And as for the signature, Alexa's going to see if tomorrow when we do our live, it's her birthday tomorrow, so she's not exactly sure what's going on. And so she's going to let me know tomorrow if she's going to join the live. And because she has, of course, Bryan Kohberger's handwriting, and can do a little bit of analysis on that for us. So, if Alexa can make it, she can. And if so, we will talk about the handwriting of Bryan Kohberger.
Right. And if not, we'll just find another handwriting expert and we won't need Alexa anymore. But, no pressure.
I was in, when I was in the Umbrella Guy, I had a message on one of my videos, and it was from this person right here, Cricket Crafts and Crime, and said basically, I saw you in Umbrella Guy, and just wanted to let you know you basically have a cool name on there. So welcome, Cricket Crafts and Crime. And if that's what is that your channel there? Let's see here. Is that a YouTube channel? Cricket Crafts and Crime. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. 51 subscribers, eh? Alrighty. Copy. Okay, I'll just drop your link in there. All right. So that link right there is for Cricket Crafts and Crimes. If anyone wants to go sub over there. You know what? That's perfect for Alexa, that name right there. Cricket Crafts and Crime. No, it's not Circuit. It's Cricket.
I read it as Circuit the first time too, but it is Cricket.
Yeah.
Or
I don't have the Cricket. I have I don't know why I forget the name, but it's those machines where you can make stickers.
The machine is called a Circuit. Is a Circuit or a Silhouette?
No, Cricket.
It's a Cricket.
Yeah, I have the Silhouette.
Cricket cutter.
Cricket. Now you got me. Okay.
Because the other one,
it's called a Cricket though. It's not a Circuit. It's not a Circuit, right?
Okay.
Oh,
the other one's called a Silhouette. There's two. The other one.
Silhouette. I have the Silhouette, and the other one is called the Cricket.
I always thought it was a Circuit, but I'm not gonna. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I don't think so because Circuit doesn't sound right. I don't think, but call us crazy on this one because you're giving me one of those brain farts now. But I'm pretty sure it's a Cricket. Yeah, it has to be a Cricket. Cricket. Anyways, but yeah, I happen to have the silhouette one. It's pronounced, yeah, like cricket, like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I just thought, yeah, it's not circuit because that doesn't sound
Yeah,
quite
it's a vinyl cutter.
yeah. But anyways, welcome to this, and it's a vinyl cutter. You know, it's a great thing. I've made many things with it. It's packed away.
And they're awesome.
Yeah. But I love them because I like the fact that I can create decals. I always like the fact when I can create something. You know, I can create my name, my husband's name, whatever on a mug, a glassware, go to the dollar store, you know.
And they've even gotten even more impressive, I think, you know, with the models that have come out. I mean, they're really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I actually know someone that even has a 3D 3D printer. You want to talk about cool? Why she has it, I don't know. It was like, I mean, it was like $7,000. I mean, it was something, you know, insane.
Those are crazy. My husband has like a $500.
She makes gingerbread houses with it. Big ones.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah. But you know what? Like I said, I'm a crafts person, creator, whatever. I like creating. As long as I'm creating and doing something with people or creating. So in a sense, I get the best of both worlds here because not only do I personally get to meet a lot of different people and come across some really great people along the way. On top of that, I get to use my creativeness so that when I'm wanting to make a tribute video or even a video, you know, lots of times I just create a video because they do take a lot of energy and time. So sometimes I just put it out there, get right to the point of it. Here you go. Have a nice day. And then there's other times that I'll spend a little bit more time on one, you know, because
even that 3-minute one today, you know, it probably took me 40 minutes to put it together and get, you know, everything the way you want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sounds all lined up and
yeah, exactly. And so it does. It takes a lot of time. By the time you gather your clips and cut them and then put them in and then insert your whatever your title is,
and then you mess up the order somehow and you're like you forget one thing and it goes right in the middle and you
yeah. Hey Stuffa.
Or you realize you spelled something wrong.
Which I'm a master at doing that now on there. But so check out this guy's video. Again, a great video.
And you can tell just by looking at him. I mean, that guy's got to be a barrel of laugh at a party. I'm kidding.
You know,
I really like him.
Yeah. You know what? I like I said, he just happened to pop up in my thing, and I'm like, I'll click on him. Why not? I've seen him before. It's not like I was subscribed to him or anything, which you can see right now. I'm not subscribed to him. It just happens to be. I should subscribe to him. All right, forcing me to subscribe to you.
If anyone that doesn't want to make a nice shirt, we've got plenty of them in our merch store.
Oh yeah,
and we can make whatever one you want.
Oh yeah, right. Well, I think that whatchamacallit, the little bot does it, but bio, !bio will take you to all the links to do it. You know, whether it's the Facebook page, the Twitter, stuff like that. Adam's page, and Adam, don't forget to drop your channel in here as well.
Okay.
Get your subscribers. We're trying to get Adam, which is Aspen, on here. Aspen Connor. Yeah. We're trying to get him.
Call me Aspen.
Yeah. We're trying to get him to the 1,000 mark because, you know, with YouTube you need 1,000, but you also need 4K hours watched, 4,000 hours watched as well. But, you know, we've helped a lot of people, so to try to do that as well. So if you guys could help Adam out, or us out, I should say, but Adam out, so that Adam can get there as well. So that would be appreciated, okay? And then he'll drop his link in there. Now, so Lewis, let's go to you for a minute. So as for Idaho, just what are your thoughts in general of Bryan? And do you think he was trying to achieve to be like a serial killer, or do you think it was like, what do you like? Just tell me what your thoughts are regardless. Actually,
I don't think so. I don't think that his goal was notoriety or anything like that. I think that something was mentally wrong. He was fixated on whatever the situation was, whichever the person that he was targeting was, or the group. And I think it was more delusional. I think he might be leading a double mental life. You see that sometimes with people where they break, and his caseload at school might have been a lot with what he was studying. His mind gets wrapped up into other cases. But I don't see anything that I've witnessed online that makes me think that he was trying to become a serial killer. I think this was a revenge type crime in his mind with whatever the situation is that he was building.
What about the whole thing, like Bundy? Like, what about the similarities there? Like, what about the fact that Bundy did this? Like, he went to the sorority house in Tallahassee,
Well, yeah.
in Florida there.
Just coincidental that that's what the situation was. Like I said,
yeah. Even with him working underneath that teacher?
I've not seen the connections between the 4 individuals and him yet, even though I've heard that there are. But I still wonder if this was more based on the actual house from when he was a student out there, and maybe
he was never a student there.
What's that?
He was never a student in Idaho.
In the air.
He just started in Washington in August.
Okay. I heard that he had been a student before, where he was at another school that was closer to there. And I'm thinking that maybe there was a past incident. I don't think we have enough info yet, but I think there's a connection that we don't know about. I don't think this was, I'm going to pick 4 people or 2 people or 3 and go do this to be a serial killer. I don't think that's what happened. I think it's more personal in his head that we may never know about, but I think this was more planned based on a situation that he's experiencing mentally, not on something in reality.
Does either of you two think that he got spooked by something and that's why the other 2 were alive still? Do you think something happened there that he would have probably maybe have taken them out too, but maybe there was a noise? What do you think?
If any,
I personally think that he was, fixated on one or more of the victims. I think that he's just as fixated on actually committing the crime, and the fixation he got on one of the victims enabled him to act out on fantasies he'd already had. I think it's sexually motivated. I do think he shares a lot of characteristics and traits of different serial killers, and I think that he's picked them up mainly because I think he emulates. I mean, he's literally getting a doctorate in murder. So I mean, we know that he's spent time writing to serial killers in prison, trying to find out how to get away with committing crimes like this. So there is a fascination there. Whether you're trying to be one or not, I don't know. But but there is a fascination with prolific serial killers, especially with violence against women. So of course there's pieces we don't know, but
I want to ask you both too, and you guys in chat. Do you think he was shitting bricks really bad when he was pulled over?
Possibly. But
in Indiana twice?
What you asked earlier, I think what happened was I don't think he expected there to be a male present.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah.
No, I think that's what caused the issue to stop. Whether he planned on doing it with more than just the victims upstairs, I think what threw him off was there being a male present there that was not expected, and that could have changed his direction or put him in that fight or flight mode where he just did what he needed to get out and left. But yeah, I said I'm not saying that he didn't understand serial killers and through education that's where he gained whatever information he had, but I don't think his goal was to do that. I think his goal was different. I think this was more personal. I think it was something going on in his mind, something he created, and he was acting out on it. I don't think this was to get notoriety.
Well, I mean, I think he shows obvious signs of someone that that because he was bullied when he was younger, he was overweight. He we know that he lost weight. He started to gain confidence. He apparently did get a girlfriend in high school, and that his whole personality then grew into that he was always very regimented. And I mean, when someone's like that, he had to have control in the group projects that he would do in school. He's the guy that had to be the smartest guy in the room, even if he wasn't. He had to feel like he was. And so to me, this is all going to, that's why I think it's one of the reason I think it's sexually motivated is because I think that he fantasizes about the complete and total dominance and control over human beings, and especially women. And they could, there can be a factor of, when you grow up being unpopular or bullied or heavyset or whatever, some people do get fixated on like the girls like Kaylee and Maddie who are beautiful and blonde, or the jocks like Ethan, even, like who's like they don't seem like to have to work hard to be cool. And that's speculation, but
what I think gets overlooked here and people confuse is a serial killer most of the time is not doing what he's doing to be recognized as a serial killer.
No.
So the situation behind what he did and why he did it might be very well based on the mentality of a serial killer. I don't think that this gentleman went out of his way to try to recreate something so that he would be recognized as being a serial killer.
No, not at all. I agree. Yeah, I think he might have taken things that he learned from other crimes that people, in a way to kind of get perfect them.
What bugged me a lot was when I seen the picture of his parents with the masks on, getting out of the vehicle, and all I did was just feel so drained, thinking about these poor parents that now have to go through this whole. Do you know what I mean? Like
the rest of their lives.
Yeah, their life was flipped in a switch, and the poor, bless those parents that probably think he's innocent. I know that he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, but right. I'm pretty sure that they have really strong evidence against him, and of course he's going to try to act. I'm sure he's thinking of using his criminal mind and things that he's been learned and taught.
It'll be game after game.
Game after game, absolutely. And his poor parents are probably convinced that he didn't do it. Like, no, my son that lived near Moscow, that has an Elantra, that DNA somehow is in place and stuff. You have
to think about it. So sad. He had to have told them a reason to have his dad fly out there, which is expensive. To then drive the car back with him. No. So he clearly wanted that car out of Idaho.
So let me tell you about that, actually, because I heard it on, I think it was TMZ. No, it might have, I don't know. There's too many channels I was watching. So actually the whole thing was, Adam, was that trip, according to the parents, the dad, was already planned before school started in September, that he was going to fly out there and drive the car back, probably maybe to do with Christmas, whatever. And so that was a plan that supposedly from the parents.
Which could explain why he felt comfortable in the car to commit the crime, because he knew that it was going to be leaving the area.
Yeah.
Now,
so
what I'd like to say is, from watching him and his demeanor, I would be very surprised if he is not either a sociopath or a psychopath. And because of that, his demeanor means over the years, he probably knows how to control his parents with no emotion at all, because he's had to convince them over the years that he is an emotional person. And that's a situation he really is not. So everything with him is a well choreographed act with them, and they're going to believe anything he tells them because he knows how to manipulate them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, there's also the aspect of, if he did have a heroin addiction, I mean, just that over parents alone can be enough just them thinking he's sober is enough to make them accept any other part of him that, might seem weird or odd, because at least he's not doing heroin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Austin, I agree with you too. It hurts me too when I look at a child. What I think is, when you look at a picture, you're just thinking of an innocent child.
Yeah.
But yet at that time you have no clue, to be honest.
Yeah.
And everything we know so far, the family seems real. I mean,
Normal,
I mean, they feel, the siblings are outwardly successful individuals. They're a close family. People keep bringing up, the fact that they'd had a bankruptcy. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Well,
mother works in the school system, and I've not heard one person say anything negatively about her.
I mean, I'm finding this kind of actually a little odd because it's like the parents, had filed for bankruptcy. So did their lives get a lot better because they were obviously their children are of well established in schooling, like criminology, or do they have to pay for their own way in, or so don't really know that, like how much of the money to help them through their university or college and stuff like that, because their sister, Amanda, I think it is.
There's Amanda's two sisters,
yeah, she has just a plethora of different schooling.
Well, and I was told earlier today by the classmate of his that he thinks that he was probably in the top 5-10% of their 500-person class in high school. That he was always at the top of his class with academics. I mean, he held himself at a really high standard to that.
Yeah. So let's go back to the pullover from the police. Do I have?
Yeah, I've not seen the pullover. I've seen pictures, but I've not seen the pullover footage.
Yeah, give me a second here.
Was it on Interstate 70 or that area?
Yeah,
was it where?
70.
Yeah, I figured that would be the route that he had to have been on 70.
Okay, well let's play Law and Order. We'll stop for a second and we'll just play that one. I think that's the one I was watching earlier. Cancel.
Oh, cool to this. Yeah, I literally just popped in from work when I got on tonight, so I've not looked at much since I got home.
Yeah. Okay. So let's play this footage here.
Bye.
Oh, you guys did?
Yeah. So.
You guys stopped by a trooper? We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV? Okay. All right. You thought you guys were following too closely? Okay. Today? Well, I'm not going to give you guys another ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay? So like I said, it's all about how fast you're going, okay? So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you only need one car lane. Right? If you're going, so the speed limit here is 7. If you're going 7 miles an hour, you need 7 car lanes. Yeah. That's the easy way to explain it. Right? Yeah. It's really easy in the B&B man, it says 2 to 3 seconds. All right, you guys have a safe trip. Where y'all heading? Thank you so much. Where y'all heading to? Where at? Yeah, it's a long haul. You guys scared of airplanes? Okay. All right, well, hey, please have a safe trip. Thank you, sir.
Wow.
it's really was showing just that like it was almost over. So there's a few things in there that I want to talk about. First of all, so that was December 15th.
Mm-hmm.
They had said that they were following him back for like 4 days, wasn't it? Were they tracking him?
They said they were following him for 4 days. They did not necessarily specify, to my knowledge, that it was during the trek back.
Right.
You know, and I couldn't see his hand in that anything on there, but I wasn't looking super close either.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I seen a hand comment about the scratches and that, so I'm not sure if on another video, because there's a lot of those channels, all the big channels, of course. Like when I say the big channels, I'm talking about the news networks and stuff like that. He's really not far off the road for a cop to go over to the drivers. Absolutely. But it made me laugh when Austin said, "This guy just can't get away with anything, can he?"
Okay. Perfect criminal.
I mean, right? To get pulled over like whatever twice in like a few minutes, because like he's literally telling the cop,
and Indiana can't catch a break either. I mean, they're like, okay, have a good day, have a good day, have a good day, have a good day. Pull you over, kid. Have a good day. Is that a body in the back? Is that a body in the back? Oh, have a good day.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, I'm not going to give you another ticket because you just got one. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna let you go then. But thanks for ticket. But
I know. But did you see that courthouse from Pennsylvania today?
Oh, I was gonna play that, but it's about 20 minutes.
I'm never getting in trouble in that county because that courthouse looks like The Exorcist.
Oh, well, did you?
It was a beautiful building, but I was like, that is not where I would want to go face the judge.
Well, there's the press conference from Pennsylvania, that had come out. It was now it's been a few hours for sure.
Yeah, it was 3:30 p.m. today earlier.
Did you guys out? Because I mean it's about 20 minutes long, but did you guys all want to watch that or no? Or you just want me to drop the link? It's the press conference. I think it was this one here. The press conference. I don't want to bore you guys on it if nobody wants to watch it. Let's see here. Copy. I'm just going to stick it in again into the description of this video. On there. Save. Yeah, that makes sense. So one if you want to watch it, two if you don't.
I've not seen it. I mean, I'm fine either way. I can watch it on my own, or
I haven't seen it either myself. To be honest,
well, let's put it on. If it bores us, then we'll stop.
Yeah. Two. Support with stuff. I'll go away. Who's that anyway? We don't even know who that is. Go. Shoot. Well, let's just see what they said. 1 for yes, 2 for no. We'll let you guys decide. Put it up to 1.25 speed. Could do.
I'm gonna send you those two pictures of that courthouse too, because I mean I know that he was just. I mean it doesn't serve any other purpose in this case, but
yeah.
Talk about courthouse.
Okay, so let me just go over to those. Oh yeah, that place. Yeah, nighttime and daytime, kind of seem a little bit different. Okay, so support with stuff. You can only vote once. You're literally spamming the chat, saying 2. That's because she's already watched it.
And yeah, Crime Sleuth. I know that I myself. I know I did it 1,000 times this morning and zoomed, and I'm gonna play around with it more because someone just sent me a couple pictures that I'm like, now I feel like it is more like I feel more like it could be him again.
For which one?
I talked myself out of it for a while.
For which one, Adam?
The Vigil.
The Vigil?
Yeah.
I can show that one again. Mm-hmm. So this is it during the day. Beautiful building, beautiful old building.
Right.
Looks like smaller version of Ben up there. And then this is it at nighttime. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's almost like a haunted mansion.
That green light. I'm like,
Oops. Yeah, it's almost like a haunted mansion, isn't it? Okay. 3 Mustang says 3. Elizabeth says 1. You know what? We're gonna give it to the 2s because the 2s. Well, I mean, when I look at Steffa, I mean, she's got way down here posting away for the most part or whatever. Fine, go watch it on your own then, people. This is the link for it. But isn't that I mean, it's a cool building.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful building. It's just that light. I was like, oh.
Well, the light is almost like eerie. Like, why not a nice blue shade or something to make it seem cooler?
Right. Was Greeno being arraigned there that day?
Yeah, was Greeno there? Anyone know if Greeno was there? Yeah. Well, you know who we should watch though is that Todd guy. That one was interesting. Well, let's see what else. Okay, Lewis or anybody? Okay, so for the actual car and the being pulled over again, like, do you see his face? It's like,
yeah,
and it was like, he must have been crapping his pants, right? Come on, like who? Like honestly, like he must have been literally sweating bullets the whole time,
especially that second time.
I think for him it was exciting. I think it was a thrill.
Well, that's right. Like, okay, dude. Okay, and not only that, you guys, but he literally changed his license plate as well.
He thought he was gonna, and he didn't do it. I mean, well, he did that right away, but I mean, he didn't like run out of Idaho right away. I mean, he was there until like at least like the 14th of or 13th of December, almost a full month, and went about his business like normal. This guy had confidence, whether it be warranted or not.
We'll say, Lewis, can you talk to support with Steffa because she's underneath the false impression that we're not going to be able to see the probable cause.
Well, the document I saw released today said that they're going to open that up, unseal it once he returns back to Idaho.
I believe they will.
Yeah.
They said that it's sealed now because they've not been able to present him with the charges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're there.
I think a copy of that. Did you want to put that up on the screen?
Sure. What did you send me?
No, you sent it to me earlier.
Oh, the gag thing?
The thing that says that they're going to release that once he comes back.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know they couldn't. I knew they were legally prohibited from doing it till he at least landed, because you have to be in the state for them to even present because he has to be presented with it first.
Did you send it to you again, so you don't have to go searching for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was on there, and while we're doing that, let's just go over to the picture of. Okay, is this when you're talking about at the vigil? Okay, so I'm really just looking at this. Like, this is possible. It is possible because he is 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, which is not that big. Like, meaning, I think about my ex-husband who was always around 220, and then he had dropped to 180. And I remember going, ew, you look actually like thin.
Right.
Because I like that little bit, heftier thing, to be honest. No offense, Adam, on that. But you know what I mean? Like, meaning when you're used to someone that's 6 foot and 220, and then they had gone down even though we weren't together. But I remember going, because in your head, you're just like, no, put some more weight back on. But anyway, so I'm looking at his ears, and he has very low ears, like meaning Bryan does. Okay, so if you look at this picture right here, I mean, you kind of look, where's the eye go? Where's the ear? Now he does have a little bit of a tilt up here. So granted, this is going to be a little bit higher. I think it's going to be placed more about here if he was to bring his chin back down. But he has still what I consider low earlobes. And so this guy right here, just kind of like Brian's are off of his chin here. I mean, this guy's too is same thing. It comes right off of his jawline.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, like I said,
It could
look
be
at
him.
hair. It could be. Again, this whole part of the facial, when you look at this angle, okay, like on this angle here, it's possible. It's plausible.
Here,
Okay.
I'll put here. I'll show you this one, Sonny.
Yes. If you had something else, and then what did Lewis? Did you send me? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lewis, you were talking about that one. Thank you.
Second paragraph up from the bottom.
Yeah, my bad. I think I had that one already in here. Yeah, right here. So let's see what this says. Okay. Let me just read this quickly, Adam.
Okay.
Can you guys see that okay? You guys good? You guys can see this okay? Or let me make us off of here for a sec. Let me take this off. And let's go back to that quickly. Okay. So January 3rd, 2023, Moscow, Idaho, the MPD is providing the following information to update the public on the ongoing homicide investigation and court processes. On January 3rd, 2023, the suspect in the Moscow homicide investigation, Bryan C. Kohberger, waived extradition in Pennsylvania within the next 10 days. Kohberger will be returned to Idaho. Details regarding Kohberger's transportation to Idaho, specifically when they may occur and by what method of transportation will not be shared publicly for security reasons. Yeah, obviously. The Moscow Police Department asks that the public please continue to submit tips. Okay, remember information regarding this case, including any information you might have in regard to Kohberger, to our tip line, because they really want to get a full gist by everyone that knows him, come across him, the type of person, etc., etc. So obviously the tip line by phone, and the tip, I'll just say the tip line. So the tip line is at ci.moscow.id.us. Okay. And there are many questions. Oh, sorry. 1 second here. Okay. There are many questions surrounding the upcoming court processes in this case, and we would like to give a brief general explanation of the initial process for all felony cases on behalf of the Latah County prosecuting attorney. The first step in any felony court cases in Idaho is what is referred to as an initial appearance. This initial appearance takes place before the magistrate court judge. At this hearing, the judge explains what the defendant's rights are and the charges against him, as it is also where the defense counsel appointed if the individual does not already have representation or cannot afford representation after this hearing. The defendant is not asked for their plea at the initial appearance. The court schedules a preliminary hearing. Upon Kohberger, see, this is where it says it. Upon Kohberger, why am I saying upon Kohberger's return to Idaho, he will be served with the Idaho, I can't help but think of Idaho potatoes, I'm so sorry, arrest warrant for 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of burglary. Once that arrest warrant is returned to the court, the probable cause affidavit will be unsealed.
Yep.
Anyone in the media or public who is seeking a copy of the probable cause affidavit will need to do so through the judicial cases. And then there's the webpage for that. Now you can find this on the Moscow Police Department homepage on Facebook. We also wish to take this opportunity to notify the media of the public on January 2nd, the judge, John C., judge issued an order to regard the conduct. So that was the conduct one that came along with it that was on the Moscow Police Department as well. So, yeah. Okay. And then, Adam, you said you sent me something?
Yeah, I sent you this. I sent you a couple of side-by-sides from today with the...
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at, the side-by-sides for today. Absolutely.
Yeah, and each with 3 are just slightly different, but...
Yeah. But again, right, people can decide for themselves, like us always, because that's all this is about. We don't know for sure. Blurry pictures.
I mean, the body, the stature, the nose. I mean, even the hair is more in this one. I feel more. But
yeah.
Hey, trust me. We'll know eventually.
So, what do you guys think in chat? When you look at this, do you see the similarity of? Or do you think this is just somebody he does look very, like he does have those deeper eyes.
Yeah. And if you look at just the way they carry themselves, and I mean, he's even being led by by people in shackles, and it still is the same stature.
I mean,
and the hair would be. And then if you think about the length of someone's hair on November, that visual was the week after, so
yeah,
roughly 5 or 6 weeks, 6 weeks ago. That the length of the hair was exactly about how much hair would grow in that amount of time.
Yeah, so Borisova says we have a new order that is in effect until the verdict. Yes, and that I know that there's a gag order. This is the gag order here. At least this is one that I got right away, where it says on January 3rd, 2023, Latah County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall was issued a non-dissemination order in regarding to the murder case of Bryan C. Kohberger. The order prohibits any communication by investigators, law enforcement personnel, attorneys, agents, and prosecuting attorney or defense attorney concerning the case. A copy of the order can be found on our website. Now, this was January 3rd. Okay, a copy of the order can be found on our website. Due to this court order, the Moscow Police Department will no longer be communicating with the public or media regarding this case. Now, again, Lewis.
I think they specifically said the PCA in that other document, because the PCA is the only thing that is a public document.
Take care, Cricket, Crafts and Crime, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Have a good sleep. Blurry Pics, Story of Our Lives. I know, aren't they, though? Right. So the PCA, just because it's a gag order, doesn't mean that the PCA is still going to be sealed. And chances are... Go ahead, Adam.
Like I said, I was looking into some Idaho state, what their kind of record is as far as that, and they don't seem to fight those kind of things very often. So I mean, I don't think we'll get like a 30-day hold in it like we did in Delphi, or before it's released.
I just think it's very telling that they specifically said the PCA will be unsealed, because that's the only document that is sealed until he's arrested.
Right.
And
that's standard law in the state of Idaho.
And that becomes a public document. I think they went out of their way to state that it will be unsealed because of the order, the gag order that was put in place. Otherwise, they wouldn't have mentioned anything about the PCA, because that's normal process. I think they went out of their way to say that, because that we don't know for sure, but that's the impression I get why they mentioned that one specifically.
I bet you MPC will be removing that update section very soon. So if y'all want to save or print anything, I do it soon. It's stuff that we've already saved.
And I heard that someone actually, there's already been someone that's been dismissed from the, I don't know if it was the county or the town, for accessing things that they shouldn't, body cam footage that they did not have the legal right to be doing.
Actually, I did hear that as well.
That's a big no-no.
Right. But like I said, no matter what you're in, there's always those people that are, there's always those ones that are.
They were probably someone's source.
Yeah. Anella worked in a law firm for many years, legal secretary, and you're a good one at that. So I'm kind of familiar with the lingo, especially that word extrajudicial. Crime Sleuthing is a really good job. That's Jonah. And little speed demon over there. So they made a separate order after that 4:57 p.m. order. So I think it's a fact that I think Steph is thinking that because they did the gag order that means the PCA will be sealed. And that was after the fact of them saying that about the affidavit.
Well, is he doing a court ordered attorney, and do we know that yet?
You know what?
That won't even be a thing until they actually get him there and file the charges against him.
But if he was hiring it, they're his own, and he could. That's why I wasn't sure if there was if he's hiring his own, then we might know it before then. But if he's doing a public defender, we wouldn't. So I was just curious if he had hired a lawyer or not in Idaho, or if the family had.
I thought that was going to be taken care of when he went back to Idaho.
Right.
Heaven, don't think so. Will he release the affidavit even with a gag order?
Yeah. So okay, they do, because I knew they had a defense team. I just didn't know if it was just just to handle the extradition process, or if that was going to be part of the defense team. Because I heard one of them talk last night.
I'm sorry, Tim, but I don't know of this information. He says, any update whether or not Bryan's...
That's untrue.
That's untrue, yeah.
It never happened. She never lived in Idaho.
Yeah, probably, right. He may wind up with a high-profile attorney pro bono for the exposure.
Could be.
Right.
What's his name doing these days? Jose.
or Jason?
No, Jose, the one that did Casey Anthony.
Oh, Jose.
Or Mark Garagos.
That one?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. Extradition means things that didn't happen in the court, things not filed on the case. Those will be allowed to be released, just not commented on. Okay. Thank you.
Well, anything they want released, they just have to tell the coroner.
What'd you say?
Anything they want released, they just have to tell the coroner.
Right. Just don't give their paperwork to Delphi or over to them.
Yeah, don't let them handle any of the thumb drives.
You know, with you guys mentioned, I do want to bring up
Jose.
and day differences that you see between this and Delphi.
A lot.
It's amazing how differently they handled this whole situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really does make Delphi look like shit on how they handled it. But, you know, I mean, I always believe that it is what it is. Things happen the way they did. Hopefully.
You know, it wasn't their intention.
Right. It was right. It wasn't like it was, you know, I don't think purposely, you know, it was just sloppiness, maybe not working well together. Right. All those different things combined. I call that the perfect storm sometimes.
Perfect storm, exactly. And, you know, and chances are they'll never have to experience it again. So they'll never have to be the well-oiled machine that they, you know, kind of needed to be right off the bat in this one. Whereas, you know, well, you know, even like the internet is different than it was 6 years ago. So Idaho, you know, even though it's a small town as well, they had some resources, you know, that and some clarity from some of the mistakes these other cases have made. But they handled themselves incredibly well, especially for a 36-person force, by accepting the type of help they did from who they did.
I also, you didn't have to deal with 5 different law enforcement departments trying to do everything at once and not communicating as well as they should have.
Right. Well, they actually did have 5. They had the U.S. Marshals, they had the FBI, they had Idaho State, they had Washington State, and Moscow. But whatever happened, they all had much more specific responsibilities.
Like we talked about in that live I did with you. I was so impressed with the way they released information. They released what should and shouldn't be looked at. They worked with the public in a way to keep rumors down and to keep their eyes on the actual case.
Yes. Yeah, and then they gave people kind of, you know, more of a specificity as to what they were looking for the public's help on.
Right, and that's what I mean. I think you had departments working together like they should. You didn't have 5 departments bumbling around each other, all trying to do the same thing at the same time.
Right, and you retrospect, hindsight is always 20/20. But you know, what hindrance would it have been to Delphi if they had come out and said, "We're looking for what we think is a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV that was parked at the CPS building."
Yeah, or if they named a few people that should not be looked at.
Well, it would have given people, something very, very specific to look for.
Yes.
And it would have been like, we need the driver of a car that was.
Just to go to Natalie Belk's, I don't think any of us think he's going to try to defend himself. Is there anybody else out there that feels that way? I know I don't. I think he will try. I think
he control it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Honestly, I think he's smart enough. I think he's smart enough to know that there's some probably big wig lawyers out there willing to take it on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't mean he won't try to control it all.
This video clip 6 minutes long. It was about an hour ago. Let's just listen and see what it says if you guys want.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. 1 sec, guys.
Suspect in this gruesome case. We want to bring in ABC contributor Brad Garrett, who was a hostage negotiator and profiler for the FBI for 17 years. Hey, Brad, thank you so much for joining us. So much of Kohberger's education has come into focus after he was named a suspect. He received a bachelor's degree from DeSales University, completed graduate studies there, and just ended his first semester as a PhD student of criminology at Washington State. You hold a PhD in criminology yourself. Explain to us, if you would, what you learn in that kind of program.
So you learn a lot about the psyche of people who commit crime. Obviously, Lindsay, there's multiple indicators or motivators of why people do domestic violence, why they commit robberies, why they commit mass murder or serial murder. And so you sort of get into the heads of all those people. You also learn about crime scenes, about what to look for. And you get a real indicator about how the whole system works, basically, how police investigate cases, et cetera. Because your job, once you leave graduate school, is to be the person that can look at crimes and figure out what happened and why it happened.
How could this knowledge that Kohberger held, a deep understanding of crime scenes and knowledge of how the system works, how could that all factor into the prosecutor's case against him?
Well, first of all, they could say that he has a big interest in crime. Well, obviously, if this is what you study, if you're a doctor and you are a pulmonary specialist, you look at that stuff all the time. So I suppose he could use that. My sense would be the following, is that this suspect is different than most homicide offenders. In other words, the typical murder is driven by rage, jealousy, greed, domestic, whatever it might be. But it's not psychologically driven. Serial killers, and I'm not suggesting this guy is a serial killer, but serial killers are driven by the satisfaction and the puzzle and the excitement and the risk of killing people. This crime early on sort of struck me of all of those variables. In particular, when they didn't come up with a suspect that was apparently in sort of a relationship of some part with the suspect.
Sources tell ABC that the police found Kohberger through DNA found at the scene. The DNA was uploaded to a public genealogy database. Investigators found relatives, and that led them to Kohberger. How common is it to link suspects to genealogy sites?
Well, it's becoming more and more common. I mean, if you go back, I suppose the most recent well-known case would be the Golden State Killer. And he got linked 30 years plus after he apparently stopped killing people through genetic genealogy, which, as you may well know, are public databases. You sign up, basically doing ancestral stuff on your own background to figure out relatives, et cetera, where you came from. Well, police have figured out that they can use that same database to maybe locate an offender. So what happens is you have a DNA profile, but you don't know who it goes to. So you plug into maybe more than one database and you get a partial hit. That's my term. They probably don't use that term, but a partial hit would be that there is some genetic connection to a person they have found in this database. And then they build off of that until they finally work their way down through looking at multiple records, death records, birth records, all sorts of things to get you down to can we actually find the actual maybe parents or brother of the victim or of the suspect? I'm sorry. And so I think that's what happened. Some version of that's what happened. And that's why they were able to link him up to his obvious DNA left at the scene.
In the weeks leading up to Kohberger's arrest, police were zeroing in on a white Elantra, saying that they believe someone inside had crucial information. Kohberger drove a white Elantra and even drove it across country with his father in mid-December. What is your thought about that trip? We know that the dad flew out to his son, and then they drove all the way back to Pennsylvania in that Elantra.
Well, yes, there was information about an Elantra, and I do believe the police thought that this could be the bad guy's car. It was near the house, apparently, according to them. It was caught on a camera in a very fuzzy picture leaving the town. And so I think they felt there was some comfort and connection. They didn't have a tag number. You know, Hyundai Elantras are not high volume, but there are several thousand of them in the United States in that year period of 2011 to 2013. So I think they're grappling. So once, you don't know what came first. I'm going to guess maybe the DNA came first. Then you figure it out. You can't just tell the entire United States law enforcement people, go find a white Elantra. You'd have to have more information, like a tag number, obviously, or something really unique about the car. And you'd have to say it's wanted in a possible homicide in Moscow, Idaho. They didn't have, my sense would be, maybe by the middle of December, they didn't have all that together. And so as a result, father flies out and they drive across the country.
Brad Garrett, thank you so much for your time and insight as always.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
1 second. I'm just going to play another one really quick about let's see what it says about the gag order.
Criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Mark O'Mara. Decade ago, he successfully defended George Zimmerman against second-degree murder charges in the killing of Trayvon Martin. And he knows what it's like to defend someone under the national spotlight and to have a client who becomes fodder for the headlines and hated before they even step into the courtroom. Mark, always good to talk to you. So you're the first person I thought of. I mean, this guy is universally despised before he's even mentioned the word presumption of innocence. How do you start this defense?
Well, you will never undo that. Everyone already thinks he's guilty, but all you can really do is try and have the people who are making the decisions, from prosecutors to judges to the potential jury pool, realize that they have to wait, that all of the information that's coming out is wholly incomplete. We really don't know very much yet. And if we make these rush decisions, it's just that like confirmation bias. We look at everything else through what we've already decided. So the best thing that any good defense attorney can do, including Ms. Taylor, is just take her time. I wouldn't even defend it actively. He's not guilty, anything like that. Just believe in the process. Have people wait on making their judgment, because she is playing to nobody else but her potential jury pool. And that's what is most significant in a case like this.
I have so many other questions. I'll start with this one. We got a press release late tonight from the Moscow Police Department saying they're not going to talk to us anymore. And they're not the only ones. There's a gag order in this case. I'm not sure if it was the state or the defense that asked for the gag order, but nobody's allowed to talk. Not prosecutors, not defense attorneys, not investigators. Are you surprised?
I'm not, because we are now living in a day and age where there is so much of a flow of information, most of it inaccurate, if not completely wrong, that judges now realize that they have to take control of these type of cases and limit the type of negative publicity, again, that's going to impact on the potential jury pool. So I would not be surprised if this was by the judge herself, and certainly not if it was on behalf of the prosecution, who knows that they have to maintain the sanctity of their investigation and eventual prosecution in order to sustain the conviction if they get one.
Can't even imagine a judge doing this before it's even in her jurisdiction, but that's pretty fascinating. Okay, so I got 30 seconds left, but tell me this. When does he start getting discovery? When does he start seeing the case that they have against him?
20 or 30 days from now, it'll start flowing, very little drips and drops to begin with. But much like Florida, they have an obligation to disclose everything that they have, good, bad, and indifferent. So the defense will be prepared, but it's going to happen over the next 6 or 8 or 10 months, if not longer, because there's a lot to do and a lot the prosecution is going to do, because they know that they are under a microscope as much as the defense.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
I was kind of hoping that it would say something about the PCA.
Did you see what I sent you? That some information from the press conference.
Let me just take a look at them. Okay. What? Okay.
That was just a few little bullet points that they had touched on, but there's a mention of it that I found interesting.
Okay. And Natalie, this doesn't affect us, and doesn't even affect the parents. It doesn't say anything about the parents.
And the press is allowed to, I mean, it's a free press. The press is allowed to talk about whatever they want. It's the people that, might, like the law enforcement and the courts aren't going to talk to the press officially, but they still do.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's just see here. Stefan says the order says cannot release information on the evidence. So how can they release the PCA evidence info? Lewis?
Yes.
Answer that one.
Well, just like we saw with Delphi, once you saw the PCA, there was not a lot of evidence in there. You had some witness testimony and one piece of real evidence.
Right.
It's going to show what led them to arrest him, not what happened in the crime or any of the evidence at the scene, any of that. You're going to probably have that one person early on that had mentioned the car with the plate. So she'll probably be the main witness in there. If there was any cameras that caught him in the area, they'll probably put that in there. But I don't have anything explaining the actual crime scene. Now, if they found DNA at the crime scene, that might be something that comes out later, but that wouldn't be in the PCA because they didn't have his evidence at that point unless he was in the system somewhere.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize with Delphi that actually is an 8-page. I remember hearing them talk about that, and then it's actually 8 pages long, but we were only released whatever it was. Or hold on, I can't remember.
We had all 8 pages.
Pardon?
We had all 8 pages because remember, I got them sent directly from the county clerk's office.
Okay, it must have been longer then. I just remember them talking about it, saying that we only got a portion of it, but it's a lot bigger than that. But the portion that was released to us was just that part of it. So maybe it was 16 pages. I can't remember now. My brain's going foggy on me. I just remember them talking about it, saying that what we got and how big it is, or how much bigger it is, was two different things.
I know, like in the court, like if you look at the legal court documents, I mean, it says it was 8 pages. That we just got a heavily redacted version of it, but that that it was no actual longer. Okay,
that's not what I mean. It was on a news channel. Right. I can't remember which one now.
They have like constitutional responsibilities to, like I'm sure Lewis knows that kind of stuff too. And each state has some different things, especially when it comes to case law, as far as like how long you have to present the defense with all of the information, which sometimes then has to be filed publicly. It just depends on the state. And
okay, so
getting to his arrest is going to be part of that PCA. It doesn't really have to include evidence of the actual crime at the scene.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this what you sent me here is
these were some things that they talked about in the press conference.
Okay, so Pennsylvania 24-minute press conference took place right after court today. Timestamp 8:30 to 11:15. Okay, that was of the whatever video, I guess. DA discusses the 3 times
search warrant.
Thank you. He issued. I kept thinking of a gun like Smith and Wesson.
Right.
He issued for Kohberger. Body.
And it was about his body, the Elantra, and his parents' house.
Okay. Of the note, the tactical assets deployed by the PA special units totaled 50 times people. The DA was advised 2 days prior to December 13th about the FBI's surveillance. But previous to the 8:30 timestamp, it was discussed about special task forces in PA being contacted by FBI units outside of Philadelphia. The DA also indicated that because he has seen the PC, he believes that Kohberger didn't fight the extradition so that he could see the PC.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that he could see the PC against him. And also, of note, the PALE and the DA didn't know that they couldn't release the PC.
Exactly.
So what is that? Hold on.
Because in Idaho, it's a state law that the PC cannot be released until the suspect is presented with it in person, like in while they're in the state. So one of the reasons he didn't fight extradition is because in order for Bryan to find out what's in the PC, he physically has to be in Idaho.
Right.
But Pennsylvania, that's not the case. So they didn't know they couldn't talk about it. And so they did, allude to stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, always a little hiccup.
Which is why they found out at that December 30th press conference with James Fry that said that this is all sealed until he's here. That's how the Pennsylvania law enforcement found out they weren't supposed to have been talking about it.
Oh. So in saying that, are we going to see a PC or no?
I think we will. My understanding so far, from what I've been able to decipher so far with Idaho, is that it will be public, and there's a certain amount of time, but I'll find out more and I'll know by tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was hoping that I could kind of Google.
I have a source there that's
that knows Bryan Kohberger.
That is in his third year of law school. That might have lived next door to the neighbors, or might have been the neighbor of the girls.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, he might know.
Okay. I'm just, I'm kind of floored myself that he literally was like 7-10 minutes away at Washington, at WSU or whatever, and that he has an Elantra. Everyone must have been looking at his vehicle. Honestly, that seemed an Elantra.
Well, 3 days later, he changed the plates.
Yeah, but by the same token, though, they did put out 2011 to 2013, so they might have went, that's a 2015. So
right. And when did so his plates had been changed before the Elantra information came out. So granted, they didn't say anything about the plates in the Elantra thing, but you'd probably be like, different year,
Mm-hmm.
So, and he knew that car was going back to Pennsylvania, from what you were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
No, I say, that was all. That is all from all I was going to say. And that car might not have actually been that well connected to him if he'd only been driving it since August. And when you live in a college area in WSU, I've looked at his apartment was close to campus. He might not have driven that car a lot. That car might have sat parked at that apartment complex, and he probably walked around campus most of the time. So a lot of people in town might not have even attributed that vehicle to him.
Right. I don't think it's a hard. Do you guys think the connection is through a restaurant? Do you think it is?
I don't know. He may have eaten there once, but it's also not a vegan vegetarian restaurant. They have vegetarian and vegan options.
Right.
But if he's literally as strict as we've been led to believe he is, eating at any restaurant, you have to trust that that the place you're eating is going to abide by the same kind of standards that you do. And Greek restaurants serve lamb. They serve things like a vegan definitely is not going to want on their plate or cooked on the same grill as something they eat.
Mm-hmm. As for Natalie, my thing is this: they didn't know truly, right, until they connected the DNA. Meaning it took time for the DNA to come back. And then once the DNA came back,
right,
and then the Elantra, and then they got like a coffee mug. Remember, they were pretending to be garbage men or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you do the timeline, they did not know 100% when he was driving to Pennsylvania. I think they had a good hunch, but you know, they didn't have his personal DNA yet to connect it to it. They just had the familial. It wasn't until they got there that they got the rest of those. Some of the forensics back that then led them to put a 4-day tail on him, and that's when he got observed going into grocery stores with gloves on, things like that. And the rumor is that they were able to get his, you know, off of a coffee mug, which they then connected directly to the DNA from the crime scene.
Do you know what he's honestly probably doing right now? And then this is just my guess.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is he's probably sitting there in jail going, what could I have done better?
Try replaying the whole thing.
Yeah, he's probably thinking about what mistake, like, oh, I should have done this, but I did that. Oh,
yeah, Tim, I don't have anything to back that up, but I strongly believe that is part of where they were able to get DNA from him from the house.
Right, because we had heard that, I think, you know, about a week or so ago or so,
right.
Or maybe longer, about supposedly DNA underneath of a sink.
Well, in the drains, because, you know, I mean, you have to think of the arterial spray from, you know, just with Delphi, we've heard, you know, I mean, if someone was driving by and they saw Richard Allen bloody and muddy, you know, think of it now with 4 people. You're inside of a house. He must have been covered in it, but we also know that it wasn't outside.
Yeah.
So he hadn't tracked it everywhere. He had to have cleaned the majority of that off of, you know, at least the part of him. He also, if you looked at the search warrant when they would shoot at his apartment, they carried a box of footies out. Footies are the things that police use to put over their shoes so they don't track their footprint into crime scenes. And they took a whole box of them out of his apartment, which means he could have put those footies on before he even went in the house.
Right.
Which is why we wouldn't then see footprints of blood in the snow, things like, you know, outside.
Right.
I think he cleaned himself up extensively before he left that house. Doesn't mean there wasn't, you know, DNA left or, you know, blood left. I don't think it would have been visible to us.
Yeah. And whoever had asked that question, he was traveling, through Indiana on their way, pulled over twice. And that was obviously on December 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were on their way back
to
Pennsylvania.
So they probably got there on the 17th, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. And then, you know, so I mean, he did the 17th they didn't make the arrest until the 30th. You know, so that's where they really started to trail him. And, you know, I mean, can I make my joke that I made last night, Sonny?
What? Which one?
Do you think that he swiped right on wife Lilith when he was going through when he was driving through Indiana?
Right.
Sorry, I know she's a faithful woman.
Yeah, I know, right? Austin says, do we know when his dad was with him? I don't want the situation where he's able to use his dad to create reasonable doubt. I'm not familiar with the timeline.
He flew, so I mean, the prosecution will have that information 100%.
I was going to say, I don't know that we actually know what day.
Yeah, I don't think we don't know what day he got there, but you go try to get on an airplane and not there be a record of it.
Mm-hmm. He got pulled over twice. I don't think so, because I think his brain is so psychopathic, so he wouldn't think like us.
Didn't Doug Carter even get asked about it actually? And he said he was not aware of any he hadn't been informed of any, like, you know, citation or anything, or is that just a rumor that someone made up? Because I didn't see it personally.
I don't know.
All right.
Mucho Taco. Hey guys, yesterday's extra delicious burgers. Extradition Tuesday Taco Day was amazing.
I couldn't believe when I heard that they were accommodating the extent of his veganism in prison or in jail.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's not the experience I've heard from other people that have had dietary restrictions, you know, that weren't religious based.
I think it's just you too much, Mom. Anybody else buffering? No. Okay. Which days did he get pulled over in Indiana? Yeah, the same day.
9 minutes apart.
But on December, right? It was like three something in the afternoon. I think it was because it said 15.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you do the math, I mean, they were. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably left Idaho. I mean, I'm speculating. They probably left Idaho around the 12th or 13th. They got to Indiana the 15th. They probably got to Pennsylvania late on the 16th or the 17th. Just depends on what kind of drivers they are too.
They allow him to spend. Does anyone think that the 13th is going to come into play?
That's a little thing I could send you about that. Sorry.
Yeah. Does anyone in chat think 111 people watching? Out of the 111 people watching, if you ever did a like or a share, do you think you could possibly do that for us? Please. That would be great if you could. Well, actually, it just dropped to 107 the minute I asked that. No, just kidding. Anyways, if you guys could do that, that would be great. Thank you so much. And his dad planned to travel back with him, and he planned it back in August, right? That's what they had said. I remember hearing that on the news today. A lot of stuff really going on today, I suppose, eh? Always those days.
What else happened today? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
What else happened today?
Oh, no, just meaning like the news channel, everything was flooded, of course, with, the extradition, him going in and out. Then a gag order comes out. All the channels, of course, are hosting it, and and stuff like that. So I just mean, like the paperwork stuff coming out, and I just literally stayed in bed and said, I'm not getting up right now. I know that this stuff is going on, and there's so many other channels that cover it. This is like we're like a drop in a needle in a haystack. Everyone and anyone that's in true crime pretty much is covering the case, and it was a case that our channel saw, but we covered Delphi for the most part.
Right.
And
I started digging into it pretty early.
Yeah.
But like covering the stuff today, I mean, like I've done a lot of research even this morning, but then I knew this whole thing today was not going to really be that much news because it was literally just him signing 3 pieces of paper so that they could move him to Idaho.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then of course the gag order thing came out though, sadly.
Yeah.
But I say sadly because it's obviously for us, as being, sleuths and whatever, it's kind of like, darn it all. But by the same token,
good luck stopping us.
Yeah. But by the same token that it just gives us more time to theorize, I guess, a little bit, to think of come up with more different things, I suppose.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I will always want myself, and I'm sure Adam and everybody, Lewis and everyone in chat, we just want what's best for those 4 peoples whose lives were taken. And if this is the path that it follows right now, then that's just simply it. So different than Delphi. But again, as the channel grows or whatever, we do want to take on other cases to go with it, or at least acknowledge a lot more cases out there that are going on at the same time. It was always been because this is my channel, right? I mean, I started this, and it was started with Suzanne Morphew, and then I moved over to Delphi, and then after spending my time in Delphi for about a year, like I said, Deb and Adam had kind of come. Well, actually, Mama, whatever I can't. Mama, would join me and stuff like that, and so then it just kind of became, instead of just me, it was just nicer to have sometimes people on to chat with as well and stuff like that. But anyways, as the channel grows, we just want to talk about more cases, because that's the whole point, is about bringing awareness and to the missing and the murdered, or giving parents or somebody a voice and stuff like that. And usually at the moment, of course, the bigger channels are going to get those people on them and stuff like that. But whatever. Like I said, we'll get there one day, because the more voices there are, the more it brings awareness to everybody. That's just the bottom line of it.
Right. And, you know, I'm not to pat ourselves on the back, but, you know, I respect John Kelly, you know, like tremendously. But I mean, everything I heard him say, you know, basically when he was doing his profile of this, you know, of this guy, it either came out of my mouth or your mouth or Alexa's mouth the night before when we would, you know. So I'm not saying he like, you know, I'm saying we were right on par with the same things he was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was really proud of it. I was proud of our assessment of all that.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, you know, and then we'll see what all comes true at the end of the day. But I mean, I disagree with what Natalie said. Sorry, Natalie, but I'm going to disagree. She said something like, if it doesn't matter if you have a PhD or type of thing or something like that. I can't remember exactly how she worded it. She made a comment and it said something like, what did it say?
And too much, Mom. You're about to hear a little bit about that. That's one of the things I sent Sonny.
It was something about doesn't matter if you have a PhD or not a PhD or something like that. Anyway, she knows what she said. And then Alexa LOL that. We all know that Alexa in our chat is a former profiler / handwriting expert. FYI, DUI, I meant. Is that what you were talking about? I said a PhD doesn't make you. Yeah,
that's correct.
My thing is this: is that, you know, what I was gonna say was that, you know, it's funny when you listen to the experts, yeah, and I think no different than when you listen to any of those psychic sleuth out there and stuff like that. Is that you're gonna have people that totally miss the mark, and then you're gonna have people that actually make yeah, right. And so so that's what I always find fascinating is when you're watching shows or channels and then there's a profiler on there and there's many because you know all those channels and shows have all the different profiles and whatever, you know, and then it's like they're way far off the mark and you're like, where did you get your PhD from? But
but they are still handed tools, and you know they're given, you know, things that, you know, help them, you know, to you know.
You're handed tools, and then some people are just better than others with them, no matter mechanic or whatever. It doesn't matter.
And it can't mean that we can't deduce the same things just from logical thinking and being around crimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bonus to always having book marks about things, like obviously Bryan being in the criminology and stuff like that. You know, like I said, that's out of my expertise and stuff like that. But then there's certain things that is, and people know this, especially females, that just based on common sense and intuition.
Or think about the people that just, you know, they can be book smart all day long, but they can't read a room.
Right.
You
know. But like I said, I mean, for me personally, I just, as I'm watching stuff, I'm taking everything with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, it just comes back to what does make the most common sense? What would make the most common sense? Even if it's wrong, what would seem the most logical here? You know, because when it comes to Bryan's case, I don't think, like I said, I just feel like there's nothing going to be out of the ordinary special. It's either revenge and, you know, it was against one or two or whoever, you know, or, you know, maybe he somehow picked it miraculously for whatever reason, who knows, but it's not going to come out of the ordinary to me, because there's only probably a couple reasons why he actually did this. Now, whether it's because he wanted, you know, I think he would have killed. I personally feel like he would have killed after this. If he felt like he got away with this, I think he would have turned in, if not to a serial killer. You know, like maybe he did write some of those serial killers, but let me just put it this way. I still think it's not still outside of the box that someone would do that. It's going to fall into a few of those categories, kind of like what I was saying. But you know, I mean, I'm not sure what you guys feel, but do you still kind of feel, Adam or Lewis, that it was more of a revenge basically on,
I think you know, what gave him the ability to do what he did was that they are in him already. I think he may have found a reason to act on it.
To act on it.
Revenge might have been the reason, but you know, And again, I don't think he would have started out to be a serial killer. I think that, I don't think most serial killers start out to be a serial killer. They're acting up on something, that for whatever reason, they continue doing. And it's usually because they get gratification and pleasure out of it. And I think he probably got a lot of gratitude and pleasure out of this.
Yeah, I think there was something mentally that triggered him, whether it was a perceived revenge act or a real revenge act.
Well, it's kind of what I just said, as far as I think something might have given him the reason to act on the feelings he might have already had.
I think that with his knowledge, he felt more secure doing what he was doing because, you understand, but obviously he made a mistake because if DNA was left, he did something wrong.
Right.
But
you have to think these grandiose, ideas of yourself. He knew he wasn't in the system, so he didn't know that he had a cousin that had done 23andMe though. So
here's the thing: if he is a psychopath, which I would lean towards him being more of a psychopath than a sociopath, but either way,
I agree.
He's not going to have the emotional feeling for those things. So if he did this as a revenge-based thing, there had to be some mental episode that took place for him to target them. It's not like somebody just offended him and he says, I'm going to do this, because most psychopaths would not think that way, and many sociopaths wouldn't either. The offense would have to be an extreme level, and I don't think that there was enough relationship between him and them, which is why I think maybe there was something to do with the house, maybe not them directly, or there's just not enough to say, but there had to be some mental episode that he had to push him to do this. And with the schooling that he had, I think he felt comfortable taking it out that way. I don't think this was, I'm going to go out here and make a name for myself, 4 or 3 people. And but the revenge factor may be perceived, not actual. But I think in his mind, there was some sort of an episode that put him into the situation, and he acted out on it.
Right. There may not even be an awareness of his existence, but he could have perceived that as the thing that needed revenge on, because we know he had to be in control of every situation he was in.
Yeah. I asked this the other night. Maybe you would know better, Adam, because I don't think you were on when I asked. Has anyone made any kind of a connection between him and the other roommate that wound up taking her own life?
No, I don't think. And Hannah's family's asked for, her dad came out and said, kind of what he felt happened, and he's asked for privacy and to kind of not connect that to this, but and that's the girl's father.
About it to know where they were from, or if there was any kind of a connection at all between the two, because
the girl was local, but he wasn't living there when he was not living in Idaho when that happened. So because like I said, he just moved there. He just moved, or to Washington. Now I would be interested to know, if the surviving roommate. So I know they're not speaking, but I wonder if they may now be up and aware of him, or be like, that is that guy, so I'd be interested to know that. But
that's stuff that I'm sure will all come out, obviously.
Was he at the Halloween party? And if so, why?
I was kind of staring at the grub truck carbonara effect one, which is on Twitch, and I was just
probably not the place he would go if his eating things were restricted.
I know, because I'm like, because you're on camera, but
right, and you're I had it open, so a 2 a.m. College food truck.
And I had it open, so I was like, And I was like, no, you'd be a total idiot.
But we've heard from his downstairs neighbor that that she had a child that she would hear him incessantly cleaning, at like 2, 3 in the morning. There was that he would just do he was a very regimented, strict person, but also gave her a very kind of like a little bit of an uneasy feeling.
So to ask you guys both, when he was walking in and out of court, you know, what did you guys think of his facial expression? Hold on a second. Let me just play that again. This one, outside court. No, we want this one here. I'm just gonna play that again.
His face can look so different in so many things. Mm-hmm.
So guilty, dude. I'm so sorry. You're so guilty.
It's like I'll see a picture, I'm like, oh, he's not bad looking, and then I see another picture, I'm like, oh.
And you know what? I kind of agree. To be honest with you, it's like, I mean, I don't feel like he's this, you know, like outwardly looking and stuff like that.
Right. And then he worked out and he lost the weight, you know, and apparently might have done, you know, whatever, but then, you know, even was as strict as like he would go periods of fasting, you know, and like really like trying to like control like what, you know, it's almost like trying to take full control over your body and what your body requires.
Yeah.
Tom Brady kind of has kind of done something similar in the way he's handled his diet over the last several years.
You know,
and I'm not saying that exactly, but you know, different regimen, things like that.
Lewis, what did you think of his look when he was going in and out, just especially on the way in?
Walking, I think that he has uttermost confidence, and that's why I said I feel he's either a psychopath or a sociopath, because it almost looks like he wants to smile. He's got no care in the world.
Yeah.
You know, he just has demeanor while he's walking of, you know, you guys can't touch me, or it doesn't matter what happens to me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, people like this don't ever want to get caught, but they're gonna enjoy the heck out of the moment they get their glory. You know, they get that moment of that they've seen so many other people get.
I don't see him basking in the glory. What I see is a person that just doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's like nothing. He feels nothing is affecting him. That's why I feel that there's no emotion.
Right.
Honestly, when I watched him walk there, all I could feel was this arrogance of him. You know, it's kind of like, yeah. Okay.
Little Christian Bale and American.
I just felt like somebody that, just kind of a little bit smug, a little bit, and I didn't feel like a remorseful person. I don't know. That's just the vibe I got.
Yeah, I saw no remorse there.
You know, it's just like, what's over here?
No guilt, no remorse, no nothing. I mean,
well,
almost like he would smile. You know, I picture somebody walking up to the stage to get their diploma.
Right.
Yeah. Right. He cares so much. That's why we called him disorganized. And right, because it bruised his ego and stuff like that.
Or that's a fancy door to his apartment, isn't it?
Oh, right. Oh, is that okay? Yeah. Someone, I think there was someone that said like he'd only heard a girl in there once. Again,
yeah.
Like, did he just have a social? Like, who knows?
Right. And they said, and the friend from high school that I talked to today, he said that, you know, once he lost the weight and that he started working out, that his demeanor changed to the point where he did gain a lot more confidence, and he did get a girlfriend during that point.
And which happens. I mean, that happens when people lose weight and gain more confidence in yourself.
And this guy, I think spent years practicing taking control over every part of his life, education, his body, his diet, everything, and to the point where he has everything fit into a way that is working for him. That allows him to keep that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth says, I think he's pissed off that there weren't no more cameras. Yeah, right. You know, I don't know why I want to say this, but he's reminding me a bit of a Chris Watts, kind of like cameras. Yeah, over here. Yeah, I did it. I did.
Chris Watts would have been the neighbor next door, like going out there, being like, "Oh yeah, what happened? I don't know." I always remember Chris Watts' smirk when it was just,
it's kind of like Barry Morphew's plea for his wife back. It's the same thing that Chris wants. It's like there's a normal reaction to things, regardless. And no one acts that way. Like, I just crossed my arms and I just wanted to come back home. I mean, it's not like her, and
I withdrew up from school this morning, sold the house, but
and then when he's over at the next door neighbor, the house, whatever, and they're looking at the TV, and
he cared then.
Then it's like this guy right here. He's like going, oh, darn it. I thought I was pulling off, I thought I was this smart and I was pulling off this perfect crime. And oh, crud. They got DNA. Oh, I drove the Elantra. Darn it.
I mean, I was on camera. Because they said, that when they would, because, he was in criminology. So, I mean, clearly, 10 miles away, they're going to talk about it and where, where he was doing his studies at. And they said he would get very quiet and kind of, and withdrawn when the subject would come up.
Diamond Eyes, I'm curious. You said the judge even commented on his manners.
Mm-hmm.
As in what
way?
Being polite? Is that what it was?
I would say just very by the book, like mannerisms are probably very like. Just probably, I don't know how genuine they would be, but I can see him being the kind that just goes about the motions with everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to those niceties.
Yeah, I really, it honestly makes me cringe when I keep hearing, he's just looking to be exonerated from it all.
Right.
Okay, dude.
He might be looking for that. And he might think that he has a chance.
I believe, right. And this is where his probably, like I said, his arrogance. But you know what? I mean, at the end of the day, we literally watched O.J. Simpson get off with bull crap.
And Casey Anthony. Oh, and I said that stuff about the dates with Ted Bundy and stuff, too. Like you said.
Say it again?
I sent you that stuff with Ted Bundy and like the dates and like some other crimes and stuff that if you want to look into the 13th.
Oh, okay. Let me just take a look. And then I can't be on too much longer because husband has to go to work now and be up at for 4:30.
Is tomorrow his first day back or was today? I guess it was today.
No, today it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
I'm sure today was a lot of people's first day back to school, work, everything.
Yeah. Not mine. I'm a hobo.
You're working every day.
Yeah. She said it's not the same type of wages.
Gotta get that OnlyFans going.
I know. Back. Okay, so what's this one here we got?
So that one was that one is literally just a sheet that it's talking about some of the similarities between things that have happened with him and other, like John Wayne Gacy was asked. The first thing he was asked was, "Did you arrest anyone else?" And that's been reported. The first thing that Bryan asked. Charles Manson's birthday is November 12th. The murders were committed on the night of the 12th into the 13th. Ted Bundy, 2:45 at the Chi Omega sorority house. Mm-hmm. Bundy checks into a boarding room close to the FSU campus. In the early mornings of the January 15th at 2:45, crept in and observed the victims enter through a back door and committed the murders at around the same time as Bryan. Then it says, note Manson's murders occurred the 13th and the 14th. Sandy Ladd's murder was on the 13th, stabbed in bed.
Which one are you reading now?
Oh, the next one.
Okay, hold on. This one?
Yeah. That one says, I would not be surprised if he has copied other serial killer cases and their victims. And that's just someone's opinion. But Manson's murders did occur on the 13th and 14th. Sandy Ladd's murder was on the 13th.
Sorry, you reading this one?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. So sorry.
That was just connecting those. And I found this next one interesting. That says, I hope they were revisiting.
Okay.
This one says, I hope they are revisiting these similar stabbings in bed unsolved cases, all which took place on the weekend and on the 13th day of the month. And then you can go to the next slide. It's really just, There was a couple in Oregon on the 13th of August, 2021, which we know about. There's a link there. There's an unsolved murder in Illinois, stabbed in their sleep 3 a.m. on June the 13th, 2021. An older woman stabbed to death at her home in Washington. Her body was found on June 14th, but she was believed to have been attacked the day before on the 13th. All these cases seem to have been, involved an unknown male with the attacks with a knife late at night. The attacks all seem to be tied to the exact same date, the 13th of the month, or very, very close to it. And we know the Idaho stabbings happened on the 13th. No suspect has been found in any of these cases, and they all remain unsolved.
Yeah, I find it so crazy that this 13th, that's just rearing its head everywhere.
It's like one of those things where if you want to go down that rabbit hole and find stuff, you can find it.
Yeah. Do you think it was purposeful, Lewis, on the 13th?
It's hard to say. I mean,
right.
It's all speculation.
Of course.
Yeah, but I mean, it is very intriguing about the 13th, and
I get so many. 13th.
And his birthday, the house number. You can go so far into the whole like numbers thing.
I know, but it's one thing to twist numbers around, but when it's blatantly the 13th,
right?
I mean, like I remember with Tupac that they were twisting the numbers to 666 and this and that and this, and they were literally twisting it to make everything seem and like anything, you walk away from watch a movie with aliens and you are convinced that like there's aliens to the people that don't believe in aliens even and stuff like that. But it's one of those things like when you watch something about, like I said, Tupac there, and like by the end of it you're almost convinced too, like but then they start going backwards and forwards and saying this and
subtract this and then add that and then if you look at this, there are 5 letters in that word, but then you have other ones like Delphi and Evansdale where you don't have to work hard at all to like find the connection in those numbers, and you're like, which I think could just be a coincidence, but it's interesting how often it happens.
When you compare those two, there's so many more coincidences.
I know. Well, with these, these are all stabbings.
Yeah.
All late at night, all on the 13th, all unsolved.
Yeah, it's very telling that you've got so many with similar circumstances.
Right.
But the only thing that keeps coming into my head, and I know it will come to fruition, is the fact that Kaylee, that was like, a trip that she made to, like I said, show her car off. So, so planning for the 13th, and then, but if she's not there,
right?
Meaning that would have been a quick thought if you saw her on social media talking about the 13th. I mean, she could have been talking about it for a while. Don't know.
Right.
Or was it?
Or
just
maybe her friends all getting murdered could have been the punishment he was going to inflict on her.
I don't know why. I just, for some reason, I feel like there's a rejection in there.
We will find out.
I know. Moonchild, psychopaths are born with brain that does not register guilt or remorse or empathy. Sociopaths are made often through an abusive childhood.
I don't think there's been any signs of that we know of in this family. I mean, his siblings all seem very well adjusted outwardly, and they're still close, and they're all very close. They're close to their family still. Like they all went to court today to support him together.
Well, that's the thing, but and again, you can have 4 siblings, and you could have, like, I look at my own siblings, and it's kind of like you lived in that same environment, but you handled things differently, or felt rejection, or felt like this or that, and it's one of those things is that, to me, it's like I said, his sisters and that could be the most, loving, caring,
right. Just like his mom could be, but it doesn't mean he is.
But then something crossed wires in there, and something different happened in that child. And then that child ended up acting upon, like I said, whether it was enhanced to me by, how you're a product of your environment, but also it's nurture and nature and type of thing. And again, like,
like what all lined up for,
right,
for everything to be the perfect storm.
Right.
You know, because not all people with OCD kill people. Not all people that are rejected kill people. Not all incels kill people. Not all heroin addicts kill people, you know.
Well, I think of someone like Garrett Kurtz, you know, and his dad has many charges against him. Garrett Kurtz, you know, if anyone doesn't know, he's from the Delphi case. And so Garrett Kurtz's dad was had multiple charges against abuse of animals and stuff like that. So again, it's one thing to be born, it's another thing to watch maybe this rape brought up. Pardon?
Or
Yeah, exactly.
keep inclined.
Right. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree because, again, and you know what? You know, like I said, I think of my brother and him taking my nephew to the pool hall all the time and stuff like that. Well, of course he's going to be good at pool eventually because, you know, that's the life he led. But I think of Garrett Kurtz, and I don't necessarily think that if Garrett Kurtz, I think if he grew up in a better environment, I don't know that he would have been the person he was today. As much as his environment and drugs and all that stuff. I don't know.
Still no excuse at the end of the day for your actions, but I mean,
absolutely not.
Well, you know, I think it's interesting, you know, to know, like, you know, him being on heroin, if that's, you know, if he really did have a problem with heroin, I mean, that actually may have subdued if he had these urges, like if this was something, you know, that was like a crosswire that he fantasized about, that actually could have been the thing that kept him from acting on it, because it's a sedative, you know, it subdues you from needing to act out on those things, and then, you know, you get clean, and that rage just starts to build and build and build.
Yeah.
And I would not honestly be surprised if we did not find out that, like, you know, this is pure speculation, but that, you know, like he may have switched into finding some other kind of a thing to feel a high from, whether it be like Adderall or I would think an upper or alcohol. You know, and I don't know that. I'm saying, you know, it would not be typical for that to have happened in this kind of a situation.
What do you think of this comment? Natalie says, "What makes me mad is when people use their childhood as an excuse. I knew one girl that watched her mother be murdered in front of her, and he is a loving person."
Right.
I'm going to go back to this. It's no different than there's people out there like myself who didn't sit there and whine that I didn't get attention or didn't do this. And then there's people out there that use a self-pity thing for themselves. Now, I don't want to mix that up with the people that just really have wires crossed, like truly have wires crossed. But, you know, in life, and I see this all the time, there's a lot of poor me victims out there. And it's
victim mentality.
You know, like you're right, that have the victim mentality. Those are the ones that I struggle with the most, because you can either be a victim or choose not to be. But now I want to say that there's always exceptions to the rules, okay, of course. But for the most part, in general, there's people that take what they saw and then they change because of it.
Absolutely.
And then there's the ones that don't and use, I'm a poor victim of this and I'm a poor victim of that. Well, where's that going to lead you down? Honestly.
The same place they always are, being a victim in their mind.
Being a victim, probably addicted to alcohol or drugs or this or that, because they're the poor me role all the time, and they don't take charge of their own life.
Right.
And that's the bottom line.
They live in the misery they know, rather than make one decision that could, that could change it. But yeah, so I think that's, you know, I hear people like, oh, well, they didn't stand a chance. They grew up in, you know, an abusive house, but then you're like, or look at the neighbor right next door that grew up in the exact same situation, and they're, you know, in Harvard, or, you know, and I'm not saying you have to, you know, be one or the other, but you can't use something that happens to you in life to die, you know.
There's a point where you're mature enough, you're old enough, and people go through, like, there's so many people that have gone through tons and tons of things in their life.
Doesn't mean it's not horrible.
Right, exactly. Doesn't take away from that, but either people can live a victim role or they can take charge of their life and, you know, try to look at it in a better light, you know. And the thing is, I know it's easier said than done, but again, it always boils back to my head that I'm the only person that can decide if I'm going to be happy or miserable. Nobody else can decide that for me. People around me or the people I surround myself with might help me, pull me up instead of bring me down. But again, those are my choices. If I choose to be around negative people, then what am I to expect? I'm going to get some negative answers with some, don't give a crap about, or
I mean, as much as I hate
choices.
Blaine knew what could happen when he put that needle in his arm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but it was something my parents always told me, and it's just so incredible, because it's so true that you can't always control what happens to you in life, but you always have control over how you react and respond to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to disagree with you guys there.
I know. Okay, go ahead.
If this person is a sociopath,
I'm not saying about him.
I'm saying, Jay, we can't classify everybody that way like you are and I am, because it's a different mindset. When they've got that type of a medical diagnosis, their brain is off, and they become thrill seekers. That's why I really think that in this case he is, because going to heroin is something that a sociopath would do just for the thrill. Anything that's very addictive, they will do it just for that thrill, because they don't experience emotions properly. So they're pushing everything to the extreme for that thrill emotion, just so that they feel something. And most of the time they never feel anything. So they keep getting more dangerous and more dangerous as it goes on. So it doesn't matter what they would have grown up in, whatever their lifestyle was as a child or growing up. Their decisions aren't based on, I'm going to make my life better or worse, or I can fix myself or not. Their only motive is, I don't feel anything. What do I need to do to feel something? And then as that progresses, as they get older, they become what they call a thrill seeker, or, an addictive personality. But it's to the nth degree, because they're searching originally for that feeling and it never comes. So then it turns into a whole psychopath in their mind. And that's why they do things like that. Like, he could be a heroin addict and function 100%, whereas other people don't, because for him, it's not using a drug because he needs to get high. It's using a drug to try to experience an emotion that he's never going to feel. And he can just stop if he wants to the next day and just go on to another addiction. Right. I mean, they've done a lot of medical research on this, and
we should say the drug thing is speculative, because we don't actually have proof that that's just something that one person has said, and everyone's kind of like taken truth. So I mean, we've talked about it, of course, but we don't actually know that. We don't have the facts of that.
If it being true, it would fall in place with all the other things that we do know he's done here if he's guilty. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to understand the mindset of a person that has that disorder, because you're not a sociopath. So you have no understanding of why A leads to B, which leads to C. It is a whole different path. I have a good friend of mine.
Can feel.
Well, I've got a good friend of mine that is. And it is almost I would never trust being around him in any kind of a setting unless it was not work related with other people around. And I've seen the different behaviors that they go through, and it is a scary situation. And that would explain everything that's gone on here, and his demeanor afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
I just want to make a correction to that, because just when we were talking, though, we specifically we were talking about in general. I was talking about in general. I said besides the people that maybe have their wires crossed or fall outside of the categories or whatever. I was just referring to in general.
Someone in the
not meaning, say, Brian. I wasn't talking about Brian himself or certain other people that simply have an instability here or whatever. I was just talking about in general. In general, as a rule, there's meaning that there was a lot of people that are the poor me syndromes that don't need that meaning that they don't have this crossed, but they.
Ooh.
I guess I got to get rid of that, don't I?
I know. I guess I got to get rid of my stuff too.
So granted, I agree what you're saying, Lewis, 100%. On that. It was just the fact as when I was saying it, excluding certain
situations.
Pardon? Yeah, I was going to say, because when you said I have to disagree with you, and then you started talking about what I had already said, excluding.
Yes, I tried to say that. And, of course, and there are different levels to everything, so it's like we're to what level of different disorders people have, it's always different, so it's, you can't label everything in black and white in different ways, but it'll be interesting to find out what happens with this guy.
I was going to say.
I guarantee you people will study him.
These old medical studies, and some of the stuff just sticks in your head, and it's weird that they've correlated heroin with sociopathy and addictive trends after using heroin. They said that people that are sociopathic that become addicted to heroin wind up becoming gambling addicts. It's a path that they take where they lead down to these same things that connect.
Right. You can also, even the addiction. You can become addicted to control. Control can be an addiction. So you can become addicted to the regiment that you live your life in, meaning like the severity of the way he handled his diet, how he had to control every situation. That literally could have just taken the place of that addiction and, been a healthier one, because he did achieve a lot of things.
They wind up becoming very manipulative because they have to create the impression of understanding feelings when they don't. And they become very gifted at doing that. And that's why they are always known as having great personalities and very personable people and very friendly, when 100% they are the opposite.
Yeah.
Diamond says that there's over 250 addictions.
Diamond is addicted to knowing about addictions, and so
Diamond's addicted to me.
Diamond, you forgot like 5 of them. Diamond can be an addiction.
Yes, I see. I need to get going here, you guys. It's 10:42. It is late. We're going to be doing, we will be doing a live tomorrow on our regular schedule night to do a live. And that will be at 6:30 PST, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Yes, you were addicted. I think, a lot of us have addiction issues. I think at something, I can easily do one thing. Like people will say that I have an addictive personality, because it's kind of like I just do one thing and then I do it well.
All or nothing.
And so it's kind of like I always have to try to always remember balance. But I can easily just get focused on or doing one thing. Like I said, I remember, when I back in the day more so and stuff like that, when it's just like, I started playing online tournaments, poker, hold'em and stuff like that, and after a while, it's almost like you're just kind of spending money, you shouldn't be, and yet you're doing it anyway. And I'm like, but then I have to tell my brain, or I think that even though my ex-husband was the one that started it, I think he was, no, or maybe I can't remember. I can't remember if I was playing first or he was or something.
That's how people become hoarders, even.
Yeah, and then, but then he literally had to come downstairs this one day and say, "Can you stop?" And I'm like, and I was like, I think I racked up the credit card to like $3,500 at the time. And
Can I answer really quick? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, Sweet Jules. I just wanted to clarify. I agree with your statement. It could easily be Maddie, but the Mad Greek is not it's not solely vegan. They have vegan items, but they do serve meat there.
Oh, at that place.
A lot of people, because if you search vegan restaurant in Moscow, Idaho, that's the first one that pops up. But that doesn't mean that they're only vegan. It just means they have vegan options.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still do in my gut think it was Kaylee. But who knows?
Right.
We'll find out. Maybe it was Ethan.
Right.
Maybe it was Murray.
Me too. If I was just to go by the gist of what we're seeing, I am thinking myself still Kaylee. It really sucks that it was anybody, but if I was to kind of go by my gut, I'm still thinking Kaylee, just on the information that you're kind of seeing and stuff like that. And we know that the how do you say it again? Gonzalez.
Gonsalves. The C.
Gonsalves.
Gonsalves
Family.
Yeah.
I mean, they said that they could see where the a connection is or something like that, but aren't willing to talk about it.
Right. It's not one they recognized right away. It was only after they started really looking into some things.
Right. So that right there kind of gives you a little bit of gist, is that, definitely at least that they feel like she was part of the reason, in a sense that she was a target. So whether or not Maddie's family or whatever sees the same thing and that connection is there as well, but they didn't come out with anything saying that, because that's possible too, right?
Absolutely.
So again, I mean, all we can do is really just speculate and try to use our brain cells and try to come up with
right. I think we can rule out murder-suicide.
I think we can rule out the murder-suicide. Probably can. Now I want a falafel.
I know. I've actually been craving Greek food, but
yeah.
That's nice.
I think falafels are what we call
they're chickpeas that are and spices.
Well, I'm thinking of that wrap at the Greek that they put it in and then they wrap around in tin foil and then
they're like little meatballs. They almost look like little meatballs, but they're.
Oh no, that's not what I'm thinking. Okay.
But they go in a pita with like lettuce and all of the stuff, and they wrap them up.
A gyro, son.
Yeah. Okay. Same idea. Why can't a donair? A donair. Is that the same thing? You call them donairs?
Gyro.
A donair.
Sometimes they have lamb. Sometimes they're.
Yeah, exactly, lamb, and then you just put your stuff in it. It's like exactly.
Like I would get a falafel because it would be the vegetarian one.
I don't know why, but when I hear the word falafel, I mean, I remember hearing it on the show once, falafel, but I don't know why, but it sounds like a dessert to me for some reason, a falafel.
I'm sure Lewis can probably tell us a way to make it. Funnel cake.
A funnel cake or something like that. Okay, you guys.
I still haven't been willing to give up those fries yet to try that, Lewis.
So again, Alexa will let me know. Happy birthday to Alexa. Her birthday's tomorrow.
It's now, actually.
Actually, yeah, your birthday's now. Happy birthday, Alexa.
Happy birthday.
Whistle, whistle, blow, blow, all that good stuff. And she will let us know if she'll be able to come on tomorrow night. And then she'll look over Bryan Kohberger's signature. And again, just give her, expert opinion as best as she can, like anyone, on what her thoughts are. And again, like I said, Alexa's like whether she again is doing it now, which she's not so much being a formal profiler and handwriting expert, 16 years in the profession, puts her on a different pedestal, or in a sense, than us for sure. So unless you're actually in that field, like I said, we can give our basics, but we're not experts in those fields whatsoever. We just try to all of us, whether it's Lewis or Adam and myself, and a lot of you people in chat and stuff, just try to use your common sense, right? What makes the most sense? And we don't want to get into Delphi thing where it spins and to the
and learning those tools that people like Alexa give us, that helps us then be more logical thinking, when you're thinking about these things. So I'm so appreciative over the different skills that people have. Even I was talking to Sloopy, and she is an expert in genealogy. So I can find out so many things from different people that I'm always so appreciative of.
That's correct. And Alexa, telling us about zeros, about the O's, and about the E's, and the basically, obviously they take all those cases and use them to comprise what the gist happened. So, when they look at the E's, for instance, if it's like the mom and dad, and if there's like closeness to the mom, again, everything's generalized in a sense, but obviously it's because that's studied in their field. So it gives you a little bit more insight. So if you do see those certain things, doesn't mean everyone, right? So I remember when Alexa was speaking about writing big and stuff like that, I was like, ooh, no, that's not me. No. But it's one of those things that everything falls. And you guys invite Sloopy. You guys need to invite Sloopy again. I could listen to her all day. Yeah. Soupy gets migraines. So whenever Soupy knows that she's welcome, but yeah,
it's just catching you're on the same schedule when she's having a good day versus when we're on and things like that. But
yeah. But anyways, Alexa, you have a happy birthday, and go and see. Oh yeah, she said you guys can go and see BK's O's. Yikes. Yeah, she had sent me that just prior to coming on the live.
Oh, will you send me it?
Yeah, overlooked it there, but yeah. So anyways,
for some reason, when she said BK's O's, I'm thinking of an O face.
BK's O's, I'm thinking of big O's. No. Lewis, thank you so much. Adam, thank you so much, chat. And again, chat, if you guys could give us a like and a share, we would really appreciate that.
And go over to Sunny and Lewis's Ask Them channel and make sure you get that tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask what your topic was tonight.
Nothing. It was just YOLO. It was literally just YOLO. We like YOLO sometimes. Yeah. But I think we were just all brain tired and just after Christmas here.
Yeah, because a lot of people's first day back to work, first day back to school.
Yeah. So thank you guys for your chat inside. Thank you for your always being here for us and being supportive and stuff, and we really appreciate that. And again, tomorrow night is our typically scheduled live, which will be at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You guys take care. Happy birthday, Alexa, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a great night, guys.
Happy birthday.